This is Broodbrothers Broadcasting, and we are here with a special episode. This is Eric Tat, and I am joined by,
Cliff Murica Russell.
and we are going to be going over the new Gene Stealer Codex for 9th edition. So I'm sorry this is going to be just audio. We don't have the ability to really do visual, but we will try to go over everything so that you can hear it, and we're going to try to do it verbatim if it needs to be said by like very specifically or delicately, but some of the things I feel like we can just kind of brush over quickly and you guys get the gist. So first I figured we can go over the detachment abilities. So it's pretty similar. We have a lot of similar ones from the previous edition. Everyone's already seen the Broodbrothers thing. The way Broodbrothers works now is you have to have a detachment of Gene Stealer cults like you used to, and you can take another detachment of just Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, and same things. You can't have like characters. You lose the regimental bonuses. It's just the same stuff that they've already previewed. And if you have over 25% of them as Imperial Guard as your army, then you lose Crossfire, which I feel like is really big. So I probably will never breach that unless Imperial Guard get like some crazy codex.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
Yeah, you actually love taking Broodbrothers.
Mm-hmm.
The other ability is just Gene Sec like it used to be. The way it got a little bit of a buff, kind of. So the way it works is still you can only have one of each character in a detachment. However, for every HQ battlefield role character you take, you can take another Gene Stealer cult character in a slot. You can just take it. It doesn't take up a battlefield role slot, is what it says. So you could actually take another HQ character if you really wanted to, and it wouldn't actually take up an HQ slot. Or you could take Elite, which is, I think, the only places where our characters are.
Exactly.
So nothing crazy there. Brood Coven pretty much just is one of those that all the armies usually have, where it's like, if you have a Patriarch, it has to be your Warlord. But this also includes now that if you don't have a Patriarch and you have a Primus or Magus, they have to be your Warlord if you don't have a Patriarch. And then if you don't have any of those, it says Gene Stealer cult character models in this detachment that do not have the HQ battlefield role cannot have a Warlord trait. So you cannot give any of the extra Warlord traits to any of your like other characters that aren't in the HQ battlefield role. So can't
Have
give
fun
like
playing with that handicap.
Yep. Oh, it gets even worse when you get to that one strat too. And then Cult Creed obviously is just like anyone else. Like as long as everyone's got the same cult creed, then you get the cult creeds. You can't mix and match, and then everyone gets the cult creed. So just like any other codex, pretty much. And then let's go over to the other stuff. So we have Blip still, which was a huge contestant of like people were saying like, do we have this? Do we not have this? Do we have this? Do we not have this? So yes, we still have blips. It works the exact same way. Except, do you want to say it?
We can't use our Goliath Rock Grinder or truck shenanigan to deploy beyond our deployment zone anymore. Wah,
Yeah,
wah, wah.
it literally calls it out. It says the first model pretty much has to be in your deployment zone. So you can't do that anymore. However, your underground gets a special buff that they haven't previewed, at least as of right now. And that is that everything that deploys underground, when it gets set up on the battlefield, sets up 8 inches away now instead of 9 inches. So it's just a pure buff of 1 whole inch. So you just get 8-inch charge base.
Built-in forearmed emperor.
Oh yeah, and I did the math. So 9-inch charge is 27.76% chance of going off. A 8-inch charge is a 41.64% chance. So it's like almost double. Then if you re-roll a 9, you get a 47.8% chance. And if you re-roll an 8, you get a 65.85% chance. So it is a huge buff to trying to charge from deep strike.
Oh yeah.
But not only oh yeah. But not only that though, you can instead choose to set it up 6 inches away from enemy models but then you can't charge. So you get like a crappy line and weight built in if you want, which is really nice. It really helps with doing secondaries.
Oh yeah. It
So
makes it a lot harder to screen against Gene Stealer Cult, and it makes it really hard to deny Gene Stealer Cult their secondaries.
oh yeah. And then I'm thinking like when the new rod comes out in the new chapter approved, where not only are we a really good army to do that because we have 5-man troops that we're going to be sending back there, but now we just instead of having to spend any CP, we just get a 6-inch deep strike to do either the new rod or deploy teleport homers. So like any of that is just really good.
It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah. So those are gonna be really good for us. And now we don't have to worry about spending 2 CP for line and weight and get close to the 9 inches. Everything else is the same in terms of like revealing ambush markers. Like nothing can come within 1 inch of it, so you never have to worry about that. Unquestioning loyalty is the exact same
Wait,
as
do
I
you mean
read it.
do you mean 9 inches?
Oh, sorry. What did I say?
1 inch.
Oh yeah. You have to deploy within 1 inch of the center. The enemy can't come within 9 inches.
Yeah, there we
And then everything's supposed to be deployed within 6 inches of the first model placed down. So nothing at all different with revealing ambush markers other than you can't place the first one outside the deployment zone. Then we get Unquestioning Loyalty. It's the exact same as I read it. It's a little bit more clear, I guess. I feel like they made the worded or like the verbiage a little bit better. Except the one tiny buff is that instead of a 4+, the Patriarch gets a 3+ to pass off. So he gets that little extra durability, which is pretty big.
Can't tell you how many times I failed all my Patriarch Unquestioning Loyalties.
Yeah, I started rolling one at a time because there's so many times where like I roll all of them at once and then like only 1 or 2 pass and the other ones fails. Like, so I just killed 5 guys for nothing because he's dead anyways. So yeah, so that's pretty much all the old stuff that got buffed just slightly, and then we can go into the new stuff. I'm just gonna hit the other one that's really small, real fast. It's Summon the Cult. So we just have that strat that we used to have kind of built in. Now I don't think I'll be using it too much or like trying to tech into it too much with the ward, like the icons on my neophytes or my metamorphs or my acolytes. But we'll get into that a little bit later. It's still you get D6 back if you have neophytes, you get D3 back if you have acolytes or metamorphs, and it's at your command phase. So yes, you can do the shenanigans, kind of like how Necrons do it. So yes, you can like try to get objectives back if you roll high enough. But like, I feel like it's a little bit too expensive, and we'll get to that later. There is one thing is that the acolyte icon ward also lets you do this if you're just near him, so you don't have to buy icons. And it gives the caveat that if you have both of them, you actually get to roll 2 dice. So you get to roll it for the icon if you have it on your unit, and then you get to roll another dice for the acolyte icon award. However, neophytes can't exceed getting 6 bottles back per turn, and then acolytes and metamorphs can't exceed getting 3 back per turn. So there is that caveat. So you can't like be down to 1 model and then do double 6s and then get 12 neophytes back. But
and it'd be hilarious.
that move, you get so much movement out of that.
Kill me. To 1 man left.
Yeah, right. And the only reason I don't like it is because I feel like it's so easy to kill neophytes and acolytes. It's way easier to kill those than it is to kill warriors, Necron warriors. And like Necron warriors barely get to do it all the time. So
agreed.
And they get to do it also in between getting shot each time, and we can only do it at the beginning of our command phase. So that's a whole.
Yeah, we gotta survive every round of shooting.
Yeah. So let's get into the new cool mechanic. Remember, this gets lost. This is the one thing that gets lost if you do one of 3 things. You take over 25% of your army's Broodbrothers. You mix cults. So if you take 2 different cults in your army, no matter what, you lose it. And if you take Tyranids. Every single thing has to be a Genestealer cult keyword, and it's going to be the same cult or 25% or less Broodbrothers. Those are the only. So it's going to be. It's very specific. It's like our super doctrine. That's Crossfire, which they've already gone over. So essentially, Crossfire is if a unit shoots all of its guns at a single enemy unit, and you either get 5 hits or of 1 damage, or a single hit of anything over 1 damage, then you proc a Crossfire token after all of those attacks are done. Then, if anyone else shoots at that unit, they will proc the Crossfire trait and they'll get +1 a hit.
Super awesome.
Oh, yeah. The way I've been making my list is pretty much almost like I just have my whole army as a 3+ like ballistic skill army. So that's pretty good. Just, oh, my army is just a 3+ BS army now, which is really nice. And you like shooting a lot more too, so I'm sure you're really ecstatic about this because you hate charging.
You know, I do hate charging. I don't succeed very much at it, but this codex makes me want to believe in it again.
Believe. And then if they already have the Crossfire token on them, which again, the Crossfire token stays until the end of your turn. So if you shoot during your shooting phase, it will be there for your charge phase, your fight phase, the morale phase, and then it goes away. You can't proc it in the enemy turn though. It's got to be during your shooting phase. Specifically says in your shooting phase. If you are exposed, so if you expose them, and they've gone over it with some pictures that you guys can look up on the Warhammer community site, but essentially just what it means is that if I'm shooting at them and they have the Crossfire token already on them, and my models can draw a line from any part of my base to any part of my other base on another unit, no matter where it is on the board, as long as they can draw a line of sight as well, then they count as exposed, and you just get +1 a wound, which is also not that bad when you're deep striking in the back to get rod. Like you can usually muddle around that and get that.
Oh yeah, I like the idea of +1 to wound hand flamers on a max unit.
Yeah. It depends on what you're going after. I feel like we have a lot of stuff that would do just as well into that stuff, but we can get into that later.
I modeled a whole lot of models with hand flamers. I'm gonna damn well use them.
Even though everything's getting more expensive in that area.
Yeah.
And then if you are within 12 inches and you also do that exposed, then they also ignore cover. So it's almost kind of like -1 AP, because a lot of times a lot of people are going to be trying to get that cover on their army.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and it also helps against stuff like, I'm pretty sure it helps against stuff like Dark Eldar and stuff where they can spend a CP to like double their cover save. So you ignore it so they can't even get that. So it really helps in those cases as well.
I just think faction wide, there's a whole lot of shenanigans that just give people cover saves no matter where they're at. So I think this is going to be very helpful. Like you said, it will be like almost an inherent extra AP.
Yeah. Yeah. Ignore cover is really nice. We get a 3+ ballistic skill army almost. The way if you run it right, I feel like you get a +1 wound in all your shooting if you run it right. So like I feel like it's just a lot of good buffs. So I will always be trying to get Crossfire or put it in some way in my army if I'm going more melee heavy, still get a little bit of that Crossfire going on. But that's pretty much it. Do you have any thoughts you want to go over about Crossfire real fast before we move on? Or
that's pretty cut and dry.
All right, so let's hit the first cult. Do you want to hit that one?
My old favorite, not so much anymore, but I still have a place for it in my heart. That would be the Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor. It is the Cult Creed Subterranean Ambushers. You can reroll charge rolls made for units with this creed, and each time a ranged attack is made against a unit with this creed, if the attacker is more than 12 inches away, then the unit with this creed is treated as having the benefit of light cover against that attack. So if you deploy far away, great. You have a 4-up save typically.
Yeah, and also remember, everything in our army now has creeds. So Genestealers have it, Patriarchs have it, Vehicles have it.
Think about your truck having a 2-up save. Woo! We'll get to that later.
It's pretty nice. And we know that this is a good one because Elotok pretty much had this when they were doing really good. So you know stuff like this is good. And then reroll charges. Again, we went over it. A reroll 8-inch charge is a 65.8% chance of succeeding. So
All
it's pretty
day.
good. For 0 CP, you just get that on every unit that deep strikes.
So the Warlord trait, Inscrutable Cunning, once per battle round when you use a Genestealer Cult's strategic ploy stratagem or battle tactic stratagem. If that stratagem is used on a Cult of the Formed Emperor unit within 12 inches of this Warlord, you can reduce the CP cost of that stratagem by 1 CP to a minimum of 0. Note that the CP cost is only reduced by 1 CP for the use of the stratagem. Any future uses of it cost the normal amount of CPs. You can only use this ability on each stratagem once. Pretty cool. It helps you save that CP. Now, plan generations in the making, 0 CP. It is not the same by any means. Use this stratagem after your opponent uses a stratagem, excluding command reroll, because that would be freaking awesome. Until the end of the battle, the CP costs your opponent must pay to use that stratagem, again, is increased by 1. And you can only use this stratagem once. So know your opponent and know your opponent's stratagems.
Yep, it's the exact same thing that happened to the Dark Eldar Vect. Literally word for word.
No more Vect, people. All right, Relic, Sword of the Formed Emperor. Cult of the Formed Emperor model equipped with a Cult Bone Sword or Locust Blade only. The Relic replaces a Cult Bone Sword or Locust Blade and has a following profile. It is a strength +1, AP 4, 1 damage. Each time the bearer fights, it makes 4 additional attacks with this weapon. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 automatically wounds a target. I don't care about it. Psychic Power Undermine. Undermine has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one enemy unit, excluding units that fly, of course, within 18 inches of invisible to the Psyker. Until the start of your next Psychic phase, subtract 3 from the move characteristic of models in that unit to a minimum of 0. Have advanced rolls made for that unit, and subtract 2 from charge rolls made for that unit. This is actually one of our better powers, in my opinion.
I feel like it's maybe up for the best power in our in our list.
Hands down. And for those that don't know yet, that's because they all got nerfed.
Oh yeah, in some way. I think one is the only one of them got a slight buff, but it also got nerfed at the same time. But we'll get to that later. And then this cult can actually theoretically play with 27 CP.
In a perfect world.
Yeah, 27 CP. Then we'll get over all the reasons and how you can do that later. But then on top of it, you also are making them possibly lose 4 CP. So this is definitely the CP like control creed. Let's hit the next one.
The next one is arguably one of the best, and I will let you go over this.
Sure. So this one is definitely a glam up. Hive cult I felt like was the worst cult maybe in the last codex, and I feel like this is one of the best cults in this codex. You got discipline militants. Sorry. It has units with this creed are eligible to shoot in a turn in which they fell back, but if they do so, then until the end of the turn, each model that makes a range attack subtracts 1 from the attack's hit roll. So just like Ultramarines, kind of. However, here's where it gets real spicy. Units with this creed can perform actions in a turn in which they fell back or advanced. And if they shoot, they can still perform actions and they don't fail. Holy crap.
It's amazing.
The Warlord trait is a 6-inch aura, and any friendly Hive cult core within 6 inches of the Warlord, every time they make a unmodified hit roll of a 6 for a ranged attack, it scores 1 additional hit. So that's okay. I love this relic. I think it's super cool, especially on a Patriarch. The Voker's Talisman. It's a Hive cult model only. Each time the bearer makes a melee attack on an unmodified wound roll of a 5+, you can't take any saving throws, including invulnerable saves.
So neat.
So yeah, especially because the Patriarch can reroll wounds. Just like, I roll my wounds, I take everything that's not a 5 up, I roll it again, and we're going to go through all your armor. Fire Discipline is 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when a Hive cult core Crossfire unit from your army is selected to shoot. Select one enemy unit without a crossfire marker. That enemy gains a crossfire marker before any attacks are resolved against it. Until the end of the phase, models in the crossfire unit can only target that enemy unit. So essentially, it just preemptively puts a crossfire marker on a model.
Because remember, if you're going to give a unit crossfire, you don't get crossfire for that unit.
Yeah. Yep. So it just preemptively gives all of your units essentially shooting at that unit +1 a hit, because hopefully by the time this unit's done shooting, they would have naturally given it regardless. Psychic power is Synaptic Blast. It's a Witchfire. Its value 5. When you manifest it, you roll a d6 and you add 2 to the result for every Hive Cult core unit within 6 inches of the Psyker. And it has one of 2 effects. So the first one is if you roll less than the movement characteristic of the closest enemy model within 18 and visible, it just does d3 mortal wounds. So at worst case, it's a smite.
Yep.
At the best case, if you roll equal to or greater than the movement characteristic of the closest enemy unit within 18 and visible, it just takes 3 mortal wounds. So you could still do 3, but now you can guarantee to do 3.
I think it would have been better if it was like, d6 mortal wounds just for the potential to do more. 3 is just so lackluster these days.
Yeah, like a guaranteed super smite would be really nice. Yeah, I agree. You want to hit
d3 plus 3? That'd have been awesome too.
Yeah, but we don't get that stuff. Come on, we're not Imperial.
You're right. My bad.
Do you want to hit Bladed Cog?
So what? Bladed Cog was arguably the best of the cult creeds in the first codex, between that and Four-Armed Emperor. So cult creed, cyber-guised hybrids. I think I said that right.
Who knows?
Who knows? So models in this creed have a 6-up invulnerable save. Each time a unit with this creed is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 rune roll when resolving that unit's attack. Add 3 inches to the range characteristic of range attacks that models with this creed are equipped with, excluding grenades and, unfortunately, cache of demolition charges. That would have been awesome. Man. Just
been dirty.
Missed opportunity. Let me throw this 8-inch range or 6-inch range, 9 inches, and I will be a happy freaking camper. All right. So the warlord trait, single-minded obsession. Before the battle, select 1 enemy unit from your opponent's army. When a friendly Bladed Cog core unit is within 6 inches of this warlord, each time a model in that unit makes an attack against that enemy unit, you can re-roll the wound roll. Great, but it's only targeting 1 unit. So,
Yeah, it's the exact same one they already had.
Yep. So Relic, Mark of the Clawed Omnissiah, Bladed Cog only, of course. This one's all right. The bear has a 4-up invulnerable save. At the start of each fight phase, roll a d6 for each enemy unit within engagement range of the bear. On a 2 to 3, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 4 to 5, 2. And on a 6, it suffers 3. I mean, if you're in engagement range, I don't expect you to last very long, since our tankiest model in the game that can actually carry this would be a Patriarch. So,
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that cheeky extra damage just to make sure you actually kill what you're going into, maybe.
So Xenoform Bionics is a 1 or 2 CP strat. Use this stratagem before the battle. When you are mustering your army, select 1 Bladed Cog infantry or biker unit from your army. Models in that unit have a 5-up invulnerable save, which is great. If that unit has a power rating of 6 or less, this stratagem costs 1. Otherwise, it costs 2. That's probably the best thing about this, is if you have a max unit of, let's say, bikes, a 5-up invuln would be juicy.
Oh, yeah. Or like you take some aberrants in this. Now, no matter what, if you take 5 aberrants or 10 aberrants, it's 2 CP because they're, I think, 7 power level at 5. But if you just have a bunch of aberrants with a 5-up invuln, they start to get tanky at that point.
Yeah, I'd take 10 aberrants with a 5-up invuln, maybe.
Yeah.
So the psychic power is Blood Vault Surge. It's an aura. It's a blessing. Blood Vault Surge has a warp charge value of 5 if manifested until the start of your next phase or psychic phase, while a friendly Bladed Cog unit is within 3 inches of this psyker. Each time an attack with a damage characteristic of 1 is allocated to a model in that unit, add 1 to any armor saving throw made against that attack.
Yeah. We do have a warlord trait later on that increases auras by 3 inches, just like we used to have. So you could put it on here and get a 6-inch aura.
Yeah, and you don't have to be fully within, so there's that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can kind of like tentacle out.
All right, I'll let you snag the next one,
All right. I think this is maybe the worst of the pre-made cults.
which makes me sad because I really liked it in the first codex.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure maybe there's probably something we're missing, but it just doesn't seem as spicy at first glance to me. It's Rusted Claw. Their cult creed is Nomadic Survivalists. It's pretty similar to what it used to be. It's each time an attack is allocated to the model with this creed, if that attack has an armor pen characteristic of -1 or -2, the armor pen characteristic of that attack is worsened by 1. And each time a unit with this creed makes a normal move or advance in your movement phase until the end of your shooting phase, it counts as remaining stationary. So at least you can always move and advance and just always count as remaining stationary. But only for shooting. So that means you can't advance and charge.
Yeah, until the end of your shooting phase.
Yeah.
Huge
warlord
difference.
Oh yeah, if you could advance and charge, this got a lot different in what I thought about. The warlord trait is entropic touch. Each time this warlord makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 scores 2 additional attacks. And improve the armor pen characteristic of melee weapons this warlord is equipped with by 1, except relics. That's all right.
Yeah.
The Nomad's Mantle, the bearer, it goes on any model. The bearer is eligible to shoot, charge, and manifest psychic powers in a turn in which it advanced or fell back. That's okay. And each time the bearer makes a normal move, advance, falls back, or makes a charge move until the move is finished, it can move horizontally through models and terrain features. It lets it get through places that are trying to get blocked off, so that's pretty nice.
It's neat.
Yeah. And then for 1 CP, you get drive-by demolitions. So the same exact strat name, a little bit different though. So the way it works now is you use a stratagem in your movement phase after a Rusted Claw Adeline unit from your army makes a normal move, advanced, or falls back. One model in that unit can shoot with a grenade weapon it is equipped with as if it were your shooting phase. If it does so, it does 2 things. First, when selecting a target for that attack, enemy units that it moved within 6 inches of in that phase are eligible targets. So you don't actually have to be within 6 inches of it when you do this. You just have to have been within 6 inches at some point during that movement. And even if they are not visible or in range when you do select it, so you don't have to actually even see them at that point. And then until the end of the phase, do not roll to determine the number of attacks made with that weapon. Instead, you get max shots. So if it's a D6 weapon, you get 6 shots. It's cheeky.
Yeah.
I do like the blast, or not the blasting charges, the demo charges still, but again, like that's very specific for having to take Rusty Claw to be able to do this. So I don't think it's worth it. And then
yeah, it's not.
No. And then last is the psychic power, Inescapable Decay. It is a malediction. It's got a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select one enemy model with an 18 invisible of the Psyker until the start of your next psychic phase. Each time a friendly Rusted Claw model makes an attack against that enemy unit, improve the armor pen characteristic by 1. So all your little piddly guns actually get a little bit of AP. And Crossfire, and they're exposed, ignore cover.
Yeah. I don't like the name of the spell. Just reminds me of my daily life.
Yeah, right.
All right. Let's go over Pauper Princes, Devoted Zealots. Each time a model with this creed makes a melee attack, if that model's unit made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, add 1 to that attacker's hit roll. Pretty awesome.
Yes.
Each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit with this creed, you can ignore any or all modifiers. Also decent. Again, decent. I didn't say I'm going to write home about it. All right. Warlord trait, Xeno Prophet. Each time you take an unquestioning loyalty test after a saving throw made for this warlord is failed, do not roll the dice. It is automatically passed. Each time a saving throw made for this warlord is failed for the purposes of the unquestioning loyalty ability, you can select one of the friendly Pauper Princes or Broodbrothers models with that ability within 6 inches of the warlord instead of 3. While a friendly Pauper Princess core unit is within 6 inches of this warlord, models in that unit can use this model's leadership characteristic instead of their own. And a leadership 10 is pretty awesome. And being able to kill people from 6 inches away, having them jumping into impossible bullets, I kind of like that.
Oh yeah. So it definitely makes your character very, very hard to remove.
Mm-hmm. Basically, I will, that's the only thing that would keep my patriarch alive, period.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. So Reliquary of Saint Tendark. Pauper Princess model only, obviously. The bear has the following ability. While a friendly Pauper Princess core unit is within 6 inches of the bear, models in that unit have this is juicy, a 5-up invulnerable save. Oh, that is so hot. All right.
Yeah. Remember, it's an aura too, so you could increase it to 9 inches.
9 inches. 9. Oh, man, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, Vengeance for the Martyred. Use this. It's 1 CP. Use this stratagem when a Pauper Princess character model from your army is destroyed by an enemy unit until the end of the battle. Each time a friendly Pauper Princess model makes a melee attack that targets the enemy unit that killed him, add 1 to that attack's wound roll. So they just really want to kill that model or unit. So, Psychic Power, Last Gasp. Blessing, Last Gasp has a warp charge value of 5. If manifested, select one friendly Pauper Princess core unit within 18 inches of and visible to the Psyker until the start of your next Psychic phase. Each time a model in that unit is destroyed by a melee attack, roll a 1d6 on a 5+. After the attacking model's unit has finished making its attack, it suffers 1 mortal wound. A unit can suffer a maximum of 5 mortal wounds per phase as a result of this power. Pretty neat.
Yeah. So I feel like the way Pauper Princess works now is it's very hoardy. Like you want to take the relic, your whole army, or most of your army will have a 5-up invuln.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be using the Xenoprophet on your character. You might send out 1 or 2 characters to go out, do some damage, and then die on key units, so you could pop the Vengeance for the Martyred on them. And then you get the +1. And then your combat attrition tests are never going to be 2 or better. You'll always 1s will be the only thing that ever makes you want to run away. And you have a leadership 10 most likely on them because you're warlord trait. And then also while those guys are dying, your psychic power is also dealing possible 5 mortal wounds. So it's all right. And then you use the icon ward, right, to like bring some more back. So it's very horde centric. I feel like this list kind of reminds me of like how the old Slaanesh lists were, where there's just like a ton of the Slaanesh guys with like the big characters in the middle, but instead the big Keeper of Secrets, you just have like characters.
Oh yeah, I think Pauper Princess is pretty good.
Yeah, I really like him. And I will hit us up with the last one, the Twisted Helix. I know that's definitely a favorite amongst a lot of Genestealer Cult players. They have their cult creed, experimental subjects. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of the models in this creed. Pretty basic. Now, instead of it's add 1 inch to the move characteristic of models in this creed. So now you just get that instead of having +2 to your advance, you just naturally get +1 to your move. So that's nice. And each time an attack is made against a unit with this creed, an unmodified wound roll of a 1 or 2 always fails, no matter what. It's pretty good. Baby transhuman. Yeah. The warlord trait is Bioalchemist. You get to add 1 damage characteristic. You get to add 1 to the damage characteristic of melee weapons, excluding relics. So I think that's how it already was in the 8th edition codex. Relic is the elixir of the prime specimen. Now I'm going to tell you what it does now, but we'll get into it later because you'll understand why. But pretty much the way it works is you get to select 1 buff from the Biophagus to give this character. Or if you have a Biophagus in your army, you get to select 2. So that's pretty good.
Are you saying that right?
Biophagus?
Is it Biophagus?
I don't know. Magus? I say Magus. Biophagus? Biophagus? I don't know.
Let's skip it.
Monstrous Biohorrors, 1 CP. Use the stratagem in the fight phase when a Twisted Helix Aberrant or Twisted Helix Abominant fights, and then you get two things happen. Each enemy model destroyed by an attack made by this model counts as 2 for the purpose of morale tests, so you can make them definitely need to take a morale test. And each time a model in this unit fights, it can frenzy. So it can frenzy, it doesn't have to. If it does so until the fight is resolved, add 1 to that add 1 to that model's attacks characteristic and change the damage to 1. So if it's an aberrant, they're, 2 attacks, 3 damage. So they're going to lose 2 damage but gain 1 attack. I'm not really sure if it's worth.
It's just for horde clearance.
Yeah. I feel like if they're in a situation where they kind of need this to get out, it's kind of like a weird scenario, but
yeah.
And it's a strat. I don't know. But anyways, so psychic power, mutagenic deviation. It's a blessing. Has a warp charge value of 5. If you manifest it, select 1 unit within 12 inches and visible to the psyker until the start of your next psychic phase. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 automatically wounds the target. So all their melee attacks have a chance to automatically wound, which is what is that? Gene Rot Might for Space Marines, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of have mini trans and mini Gene Rot Might.
It's all right. It's definitely the hardest to read through cult. All the weird words.
Yeah, it's because they're all made up, because they're all experimental. So I will explain this, and then I'll let you start hitting a couple of these. So
I want to hit the first one.
Your favorite?
Yeah.
All right. So the way that our custom creeds work is you get 4 points, and you can spend them any way you want. So you could buy 1 3 and a 1, which adds up to 4. You could buy 4 1s. You could buy a 2 and 2 1s. So as long as it adds up to 4 and doesn't exceed 4, you can make a creed with that. So you could theoretically take, X. Either I think you only have the option to take either 1, 2, 3, or 4, essentially based on the numbers. But in reality, there isn't really any with 4. Let's be real.
There is one with 4, and it's my favorite. It's called the Splinter Cult, but I'm calling it the Sphincter Cult because I can do that because of the nature of this cult. Essentially, you pick your favorite pre-generated cult, spend all 4 of your points, and you can slap whatever name you want to on it, and it does exactly as that cult would do. I'm not reading all this junk. It has like 5 paragraphs just telling exactly what I just said.
It literally just says, essentially, you just can rename any of the already made cults a different name. And it
you
works
just white out the name and put your stupid name on top of it. Hence the Sphincter Cult.
You can hit the next. I'll hit all the 3s. How about you hit all the 3s?
Fine. So Hunter's Instinct, guess what? It costs 3. You can reroll charge rolls made for units with this creed. Awesome. Impassioned, also 3. Each time a model with this creed makes a melee attack, if that model's unit made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, add 1 to that attack's hit roll. Symbiotic Broodmind, guess what? It's 3. A unit with this creed is eligible to shoot in the turn in which it fell back. If it does so, and then until the end of the turn, each time a model in that unit makes a range attack, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll.
Yeah, so those are all the 3s. As you can tell, they're all parts of already made cults.
Yep.
So I'll hit all the 2s. So we got Deep Supplies. Each time a unit with this creed is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll a single wound roll when resolving that unit's attack. Agile Gorillas. Each time a unit with this creed makes a normal move or advances in your movement phase in your following shooting phase, that unit counts as having remained stationary. If you select this creed, you cannot select the Martial Creed. So it's the only one that prevents you from picking another creed.
Well, nuh-uh. The martial creed prevents you from taking gorilla. That's 2.
Oh my god. Yeah, so the
You're a
martial
lawyer.
creed says each time a crossfire infantry model with this creed makes a ranged attack, unless that model's unit has moved this turn, that target is treated as having a crossfire marker for that attack. If you select this creed, you cannot select the agile gorillas creed opposite,
Boom.
which kind of still makes me confused because I feel like if you took both of these, it's like it's good, but it's not like so broken where they had to like prevent it from happening. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're missing something that makes it extremely broken. But the other ones are Thralls of the Patriarch. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit with this creed, ignore any or all modifiers.
That should be a 1 cost.
Oh, 100%. And then Toxin Agents. Each time a model with this creed makes a melee attack against a unit, excluding vehicles or monsters, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. It's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So I'll do, I guess, the ones. Accustomed to toil. And honestly, this is where some of the best ones are. Makes no sense. Accustomed to toil. Each time an attack is made against a unit with this creed, an unmodified wound roll of 1 or 2 always fails. For 1, you get many trans. That's huge. I love it. Industrial affinity. Each time a model with this creed makes an attack with an industrial weapon, and there are a ton of those, you can ignore any or all hit roll, ballistic skill, and weapon skill modifiers. This, huge.
Love it. Why is it 1?
To make you take it? I don't know. Alien Fury. Each time a unit with this creed piles in or consolidates, models in that unit can move an additional 1 inch. Meh. Each time a vehicle, war convoy, each time a vehicle or biker model with this creed would lose a wound, roll a d6, and on a 6, that wound is not lost. So a 6 up, feel no pain. Synaptic Resonance. Each time a psychic test is taken for a unit with this creed, you can re-roll any or all dice rolls of 1 or 2. If you're a psychic heavy army, that would be pretty legit. Cold-Eyed Killers. Each time a model with this creed makes a melee attack on an unmodified wound roll of 6, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. Also pretty good.
Yeah. I really love Industrial Affinity. I use that in like every single thing I start making a list around. And then also War Convoy, Synaptic Resonance, Accustomed to Toil. Like those are all really good for just 1.
Yeah, that's like the best detachment right there. That's your cult. Those 4.
Oh, yeah. I like it. All right, let's hit some stratagems. So we got quite a few. So the first one, let's just go back and forth, I guess.
And let's make a note. Something that you'll notice is almost all of these strats are just 1 and 2 CP. That's huge.
Yeah, we don't have a single 3 CP in the entire codex,
which is great.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'll hit 1, then you hit 1, then we'll just keep bouncing back and forth.
Cool.
So first one, Bore Through, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Genestealer cult model or unit from your army is selected to fight until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack with an industrial weapon, and we'll go over those later, against an enemy monster or vehicle, you get to re-roll the wound roll. So full re-roll wounds against monsters and vehicles for 1 CP if you use an industrial weapon.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Good. Rapid Advance. Use this strategy in your movement phase when a Genestealer Cult's Genestealer Cult's Biker, or Cult Vehicle unit from your army advances. Do not make an advance roll instead until the end of that phase. Add 6 inches to the move characteristic of that model instead. So add 6 to the move characteristic. Do not make an advance roll. That's a huge distinction, and it's only 1 CP.
Oh yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. I think that's going to be used often.
Yep. 1 with the Shadows, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase when a Genestealer Cult infantry unit from your army is selected as the target of an attack. Until the end of the phase, each time a range attack is located to the model in that unit, while it is receiving the benefits of cover, add 1 extra armor save. So you get +2 when you're in cover.
Yeah, which if you need something to survive, that's It can be a big deal.
Yeah, and it's you do it when you get shot, so you don't have to like, I hope he shoots this unit, I'm going to pop it on them right now. You just do it when you are literally getting shot at.
Yep. All right. So dig them out. 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Gene Stealer cult unit from your army is selected to shoot until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack with an industrial weapon that targets a unit within 12 inches of it, the target is treated as being exposed for that attack. Which is, all right, cool.
Yeah, don't have to worry about something on the other side. So you want to shove up some Ridge Runners right into someone's face, 12 inches away, no one's on the other side, pop it.
Exposed.
Yep.
And you get to read like the best strat.
Overload fuel cells, 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your shoot phase when a Gene Stealer cult unit from your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when a Gene Stealer cult unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time an industrial weapon is selected for a model in that unit to attack with, that model can overload it. So you can overload, you don't have to. If it does so, then until that shooting or fight is resolved, each time the model makes an attack with this weapon, you do these 3 bullet points. The first one, if it is a ranged weapon, you get to add 1 damage to the characteristic of that attack. So plus 1 damage if it's ranged. If it's melee, you add 1 strength to that attack. However, if any unmodified hit rolls of 1 are made for that attack with the weapon, after the attack's model unit has finished making it, its attack suffers 1 mortal wound. So you get to add 1 damage or 1 strength, but you do get like the plasma effect where you will start offing yourself.
Monstrous Vigor. Guess what? It's 1 to 2 CP. We probably know what this is. Use this stratagem in any phase when an aberrant or abominant unit from your army is selected as a target of an attack until the end of the phase. Each time an attack is made against that unit, it gets transhuman. And if it contains 5 or fewer models, it's 1 CP. Otherwise, it costs 2. Nah.
Yeah. It's okay. Especially if you're an aberrants, you can start getting them really tanky, right? You can give them a 5 up in Balm. You can give them 3 up cover save with 1 with the shadows. You could give them transhuman, so you could make them really tanky, but it's going to start costing a lot of CP. Breaking Fire, 1 CP. This sounds familiar, but it's different. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when an Adeline or Achilles Ridge Runner unit from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, if the target has a Crossfire marker and is exposed when it is selected as a target, you can reroll the hit roll. However, it must be exposed as specified by the exposed keyword, not by any other means. So you couldn't give it exposed through another means, maybe by an ability or another strat for this to work. It has to be exposed legit. So someone's got to be in the other side of it.
Correct. You can't priority target the ability, or you can't use priority target on it.
Yeah, we can get to priority target later.
Yep. Mass Firearms, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Gene Stealer Cult's Crossfire unit from your army contains 6 or more models that are selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a range attack, if all the models in that unit target 1 enemy unit that has a Crossfire marker, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target.
Yeah. If you're popping a lot of shots, do it. If you need that extra, maybe if you're strength 4 and you're going into a night, do it. You can get an extra couple wounds on him, just a possible shot, especially if you're getting full rerolls. You could do massed firearms, and then you could just do raking fire on your Achilles Ridge Runners or your Adeline Jackals. Full rerolls.
Or just a max unit of neophytes.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah. Devoted Crew, same as it always is, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Gene Stealer Cult vehicle from your army until the start of your next command phase. It is considered full wounds for any characteristics of the profile being used.
I think we'll be saving that for Goliath Rock Grinders.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Hyper Metabolism, 1 CP. Your character can regain D3 lost wounds.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess.
Here's one of your favorites.
It is my favorite.
Rig to Blow. We already have had that. 1 CP. when a vehicle is destroyed, if it's got a cache of demo charges on it, spend 1 CP, it auto blows up.
You're rigged to blow.
Oh yeah.
Data Parasite. This one is confusing. It is 1 or 2 CP. It's just a weird strat.
It would be so good if you didn't have to roll for it.
That's the whole thing. Like, it'll never be used, but because you have to roll, it won't be. Use this stratagem in your movement phase. Select one enemy vehicle model within 18 inches of and visible to a Clamavus model from your army. I love that it has to specify that it's from your army. If that vehicle model characteristic can change as it suffers damage, roll 1d6. On a 3+ until the start of your next command phase, that enemy vehicle model is considered to have half the number of wounds remaining for the purposes of determining what those characteristics are. If that vehicle model has a Titanic keyword, it costs 2 CP. But you have to roll for it.
Yeah. It's bad because if I spend 1 CP and I roll, let's say I get it, the enemy on their turn could spend 1 CP and more than likely has a devoted crew type strat to just act a top bracket. But theirs is guaranteed. Mine's a 3+.
Yeah, but I'm doing Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor and making theirs cost 1 extra.
Maybe that's the secret sauce there. But then
it's mustard, which nobody wants.
You spend the 1 CP and you don't roll the 3+. You're like, all right, never mind.
Never mind. Goodbye.
All right. Here's a legit 2 CP strat. Legendary.
Is that the first 2 CP one? Yeah, that is the first 2 CP one.
Yeah, it's the first without like 1 or 2. Yeah.
Caveats.
Legendary Demise. Use a stratagem in any phase when a Kellermorph model from your army is destroyed by an enemy model. Do not remove that Kellermorph model from play. It can, after the attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks, shoot, as if it were your shooting phase. After resolving those attacks, the destroyed Kellermorph model is then removed. So, fight on death Kellermorph for 2 CP.
Yeah, old fight on death.
Yeah, but shooty.
Yeah, it's delicious. It is 2 CP, though.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Gestalt Consciousness, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your psychic phase when a cult psychic model from your army manifests a blessing power that instructs you to select a friendly unit. When selecting a unit to be affected by that psychic power, you can select 1 friendly cult unit anywhere on the battlefield that does not have to be visible to or within any specific range of that psychic model. Pretty neat.
Yeah, it's kind of like a punch in the face because we haven't got to it yet, but all of our psychic powers, if they're buffs, you need to see your models now. So they made it so now we need to see it all, but they go, oh, here's 1 CP so you can not have to see them.
Okay.
Like, really? Man. At least you could do it across. So that was like one of the things though, like, because you want to deep strike in their backfield and you can't buff them because they're so far away. But at least now you could do this and you could buff something literally on the other side of the board. So at least that's also, helpful.
Dang it, you got the other best stratagem to read.
Reckless Demolitions, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Genestealer cult unit from your army is selected to fight. Select 1 model equipped with a grenade weapon in that unit until the end of the phase. You get to do both of these. That model can only attack with that grenade weapon, even though it is not a melee weapon, and even if it has the blast special rule, and can do so even if it is within engagement range of an enemy unit. When it does so, it makes the number of attacks equal to that weapon's type characteristic. Each time that model makes an attack with that weapon, an unmodified hit roll of a 2+ is always successful. On an unmodified hit roll of a 1, after the model's unit has finished making all of its attacks, 1 model in that unit is destroyed. So you just...
It's the ultimate dynamite bitch slap.
Yeah, you spend 1 CP and you just go ham with a demo charge.
It makes me giddy. Like, I just got goosebumps.
Except you spend this and then you roll your attacks and you get 1 and you're just like...
It does say it makes a number of attacks equal to that weapon's type characteristic.
Yeah, but the type characteristic of a demo charge is D6.
I know. So wouldn't it get 6?
I don't think so because type characteristic is D6 attacks.
Well, I'm gonna rule it in my favor until otherwise noted.
You get the next one that's
That's the
also a slap.
American way.
Yeah. You get the next strat that's also a slap in the face, though.
I hate you. So leaders of the cult, 1 CP. Use this stratagem before the battle when you are mustering your army. If your warlord is a cult patriarch, select up to 2 other cult patriarch select up to 2 other models with the HQ battlefield roll from your army and determine 1 warlord trait for each of them. Those must be warlord traits they could have. Those models, it's basically, what we had previously. Yeah, there's really nothing different about this except we don't get the D3 extra CP.
Yeah, well, it's the slap in the face because every other army I could think of, you don't have to have a specific HQ choice to be able to do it.
No, you don't.
But we do.
But instead of paying 2 CP for 2 extra warlord traits, you only pay 1. So I mean that's the trade-off.
I guess, yeah. And it is only HQ. And it's not necessarily have to be a Primus and a Magus anymore. So you could do it on an Acolyte Icon Ward or a Jackal Office now. So it does open up that a little bit more. It's just still like kind of like crappy that's got to be a Patriarch.
Correct. But for 1 CP, I'm doing it.
Yeah, if you have a Patriarch, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have a Patriarch, probably. Maybe.
Gene Sire's Gifts. Literally, this one is the exact same thing as every other codex. It's 1 CP. You get to bring an extra relic. And you can do it twice. So you can bring up to 2 relics for 2 CP or 1 extra relic for 1 CP.
Next, we have another 2 CP strat called Pack Hunters. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Select 1 enemy model or 1 enemy unit within 6 inches of invisible to an Atlan Jackal's unit from your army until the end of the phase. Each time a model in another friendly cult unit makes a range attack against the enemy unit, treat that enemy unit as being exposed for that attack. I mean, it's 2 CP, I guess. It's neat, I guess.
It lets you run up there. You might not be behind them. You pop the 2 CP, everyone in your army.
Shoot this one thing now.
Yep. So it's nice. Genetic Lineage, 1 CP. Use this strat in your charge phase. Select 1 Acolyte Hybrid or Hybrid Metamorph unit from your army. Until the end of the turn, that unit is eligible to charge in a turn in which it advanced. So exactly the same. It's still the good verbiage where you get to do it in the charge phase. So if you might want to cast a power to try to get it for free and it fails, you don't have to go, oh crap, I didn't spend the CP. Now I'm stuck. You get to fall back on spending 1 CP.
Very nice. Meticulous Uprising, 2 CP. Use this stratagem when you would reveal your ambush markers. If you are playing a combat patrol or incursion battle, you can remove 1 of your ambush markers. If you are playing a strike force or onslaught, you can remove up to 2 of your ambush markers. For each ambush marker removed, set them up again anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within your deployment zone and more than 9 inches away from enemy models. Once you have done so, reveal all of your ambush markers as normal. The only thing that's weird about this to me is, and I know we touched on this, it does say more than 9 inches away. So does it really utilize the popping up abilities that you get in the very beginning? Or do the 1 or 2 units you pull back have to be 9 inches away?
I think it has to be 9 inches away.
Do you think that's just a mistype, like an oversight? It's just weird to me.
Well, it's weird too because like this is super nerfed. It was 1 CP and you got to do it 3 blips.
3. Yeah, and I don't think I'll be utilizing this anymore unless I just get totally screwed on deployment.
Yeah, and I barely use it to begin with, and I was like, I mean, I could understand why you would use it in the old one, but like I don't understand why they nerfed it so hard.
Yeah, it's awful now.
Clandestine Goals, 1 CP. Use the stratagem after selecting a secondary objective or agenda. Choose one of your selections. Do not reveal it to your opponent. The first time you score victory points or experience points, then you reveal it to your opponent. So you could technically do this. You pick a secondary. Don't tell your opponent. Spend 1 CP. They don't know what you're doing. However, in high level play, they have a good chance of knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a stupid one.
Maybe you could get cheeky with it. I don't know.
I'm not. Next one, booby trap. 1 CP. Use a stratagem at the end of your turn. Select one objective marker you control that has a reductive saboteur or gene stealer cult core unit from your army within range of it. The next time an enemy unit, excluding aircraft, ends any kind of move within range of that objective marker, roll 1d6 on 2 to 4. That enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 5+, it suffers 3 mortal wounds. And you can only select each objective marker for this stratagem once. And for 1 CP, if I'm trying to take one of the center objectives, yeah, I'll do this as a big FU in the face.
Yeah, it's nice. It just you have a chance to literally kill possibly 2 Space Marines. If there's one with a wound on it. You could
getting real technical there.
Yeah. I mean, that's big in some cases. That's like 6 attacks, 8 attacks sometimes.
Yeah.
Or if like 5 incubi charge you, that's 3 possible dead incubi. Like that's a lot of attacks.
Oh yeah. You're next.
Lurk in the Shadows, 2 CP. Use a stratagem at the end of your opponent's. Use a stratagem at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. Select one Gene Circle infantry unit from your army until the end of the phase. Each time an enemy model shoots, if that unit is not the closest eligible target or within 12 inches of that enemy model, then until that shooting is resolved, that enemy model cannot target that unit. In addition, until the end of the phase, if the selected unit has the bodyguard ability, it loses that ability. So exactly how it was before. However, you don't need to be in terrain to do it.
Which is so good. Like, even for 2 CP, this is a great survival strat.
Mm-hmm.
Don't shoot me if you're outside of 12 inches. Done.
Yep. And now, so it gives you some survivability outside on an objective.
Correct. So I know I said this before, but this is my favorite strat.
Yes, I love this one.
This is so amazing. It has so been glowed up.
And I called it too.
Return to Shadows 2.0. Only 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your movement phase when a Gene Stealer Cult's infantry unit from your army is selected to move, or in your fight phase after a Gene Stealer Cult's infantry unit from your army has resolved all of its attacks, but before it makes a consolidation move. If that unit is more than 6 inches away from any enemy units, remove it from the battlefield. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
In the reinforcements step of your next movement phase, set that unit up back on the battlefield anywhere that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. In the battle, if the battle ends and the unit is not on the battlefield, it's destroyed. So you have your murder unit that comes down, uses something that we'll talk about later to basically guarantee a charge, kills the unit. There's no one else around. Poof, it goes back in and can attempt to murder something on the next turn again.
Oh yeah. Before you're like
CP.
Oh yeah. In especially in the way you play this army, I feel like, and you're like, all right, I send out 10 acolytes, they kill something, on their turn it dies. Now you're like, I send this out, I kill your stuff. Oh, there's nothing around you. I get to use it again. It's just pure. It's a pure trade up with no downside except for 1 CP. I love it.
It's the best.
Yeah, it definitely makes it so people can't like try to get cheeky flanks on you. So like, oh, if I push my Dread Knight over around this corner, I can get an angle on you and shoot you. And you're like, all right, well, I come in from deep strike, I kill that Dread Knight that just shot at me. There's nothing 6 inches next to me. Now I'm going to go back in, and now you can't return and kill what just killed your guy. Pure trade. So yeah, definitely makes them have to worry. Covering Fire, another really good one. They actually previewed this one earlier. It's 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your charge phase. Select one enemy unit that has a Crossfire marker until the end of that turn. That unit cannot fire Overwatch, set to defend, or perform heroic interventions.
Beautiful.
I love that it also has that perform heroic intervention set to it. Because
I don't care about any of the other wording on that strat. There are just some models I do not want to heroically intervene into me. And this is huge.
Oh, yeah. It's so nice. And you're just like, all right, that whole gimmick of like your Space Wolves or that stupid more involved crap that you're going to try to do on me? Nah.
Not this time. All right, tunnel crawlers, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your charge space. Select one area terrain feature until the end of the turn. Each time a Gene Stealer Cult's infantry unit from your army declares a charge against that enemy unit within that area terrain feature, enemy units with that area terrain feature cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend, and that Gene Stealer Cult infantry unit ignores the effects of the difficult ground trait from that area terrain feature. There's nothing better than a 1 CP strat that just blanket turns off Overwatch. Now, granted, they have to be on area terrain, but we see that so often these days.
Yeah, everyone's on some sort of terrain usually.
Yeah, neener, -2 to charge.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't get, affected by it too. Okay.
I got my hiking boots on.
It's so good. That's 2 strats that you can ignore Overwatch on.
So
Before it was, I hope I get Mass Hypnosis off. And you're within
or I have the Void Worm Talisman.
Yeah, and you're within 18 inches too. But yeah, like this is insane. Fanatical Devotion, 1 CP. This one's a little wordy. Use the stratagem in the heroic intervention step of your opponent's charge phase. Select one enemy unit that is within engagement range of a Cult Patriarch, Cult Primus, or Cult Magus, a unit from your army. One friendly Cult Core unit that is within 6 inches of that enemy unit and not within engagement range of an enemy unit can perform a heroic intervention. When performing that heroic intervention, each model in that friendly Cult Core unit can move up to 6 inches instead of up to 3 inches and does not have to finish that move closer to the closest enemy model. Instead, at least one model from that unit must end that move within engagement range of the selected enemy unit, and no models from that unit can end that move within engagement range of any other enemy units. Otherwise, it does not move. So essentially, you spend 1 CP. If an enemy is within one of the Brood Coven models and you are within 6 inches, you get to pretty much heroically intervene as long as you end up in engagement range of that model. Now, that's pretty good because you could do that crazy shenanigans where you try to heroically intervene and like some dude way down the line just goes and touches an objective you weren't touching.
It's 6 inches. It's definitely a gotcha strat.
Oh, yeah. That's
so
really
next
nice.
We have roaming engagement for 2 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase after making attacks with an Atlan or Achilles Ridge Runners unit from your army. That unit can make a normal move up to 7 inches as if it were your movement phase. Until the end of the turn, that unit is not eligible to declare a charge with. So it's Fire and Fade. That's all it is.
7 inches, Fire and Fade. Yep. Too bad it says in your shooting phase because that would be totally sick if you could do it after you overwatched.
Oh my, that me.
Hey, Adbeck had it built in.
Ugh, hate it. Go ahead.
Coordinate Assault, 1 CP. Use the stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select one enemy unit as a Crossfire marker and is within engagement range of any Gene Stealer Cult unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, that enemy unit is not eligible to fight until after all eligible units from your army have done so.
Look, you're going to have to play Four-Armed Emperor because you need all this CP.
That is a fight last strat right there. That is just really nice.
Fight last, yeah, just 1 CP. I'll come back to you, strat.
Yep. That's so nice.
I like just so many good strats. Neural Overload, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase or in the fight phase after making an attack with a Sanctus model from your army. If an enemy model lost any wounds as a result of that attack but was not destroyed, roll 3d6 if the result is greater than that enemy model's leadership characteristic. Until the start of your next shooting phase, that enemy model loses or unit loses any aura abilities it has. If that enemy model is a psyker, its unit suffers perils of the warp. Each enemy unit can only be affected by this stratagem once. So it basically took half of what the Sanctus did naturally and made you pay a CP for it. Womp womp.
Yeah, but it also has the ability to turn off auras now. That's pretty cool.
It is cool, but you're counting on it wounding or something. Yeah, if it lost its wounds.
Yeah, but again, we'll get to it. But you wound, you automatically do damage on a 4-up no matter what. So
that's fair.
And 3d6, you average 11, so most likely you will.
You might average 11. I don't.
We got Summon Familiar, which is 1 CP. Pretty much familiars are one-time use things now. And so what this does is if you have in your command phase, select one Gene Circle model from your army that is equipped with a Psychic Familiar or Alchemist Familiar and has already used that Familiar's ability, that model can use the Familiar's ability one additional time during the battle, and you can only do this once.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Oh, this is, I know I said this before, but this is my favorite strat. Primed Explosive, 1 CP. Use this strategy in your shooting phase when a Gene Stealer Cults model from your army shoots with a grenade weapon or a cache of demolition charges. Until the end of the phase, do not roll to determine the number of attacks made with that weapon. Instead, the maximum number of attacks are made with that weapon. And AKA 6 attacks are made with an Assault D6 weapon. So my question is, I know that would be in your shooting phase, not fight phase. So never mind. You cannot stack the strat with slapping somebody with a.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Even though it says shoot as if it was your shooting phase, but that's not how it works anymore.
Not anymore.
All right. The last new thing that we have is the stuff called proficient planning. They showed one already at this point, but essentially it's just the thing that every codex has where like you can pay points and just upgrade stuff. The way ours upgrade is you just can upgrade anything as long as it's eligible in the upgrade. And so some are specific and some are very general.
And this is going to be such a huge point sink because they're all great.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single one in here where I'm like, that's not good. Like they're all, I would take all of them if they're cheap enough. They're all between 10 and 20 points. However, you can only take them once. That's the downfall. So you can't take, the one that they showed, which was perfect ambush. You can't take that 10 times, right? Even though you'd spend 150 points.
Still do it.
So I guess let's do the same thing. We'll bounce back and forth. I'll go with the first one. It sounds very familiar. It's called Line in Wait. It's for 20 points. Infantry unit only. When this unit is set up as reinforcements as a result of being set up from underground, so you're coming in from deep strike, set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 3 inches away from enemy models until the end of the turn. That unit is not eligible to declare a charge with. So they just moved it from costing 2 CP to costing 20 points, but you only get to do it once per game, and the enemy will know prior who's doing it.
Yeah, I don't think this is an auto take just because it's with the ability just to be able to just choose a unit to go 6 inches away.
Correct.
Yeah, get lost some of its viability.
And I did a lot of line and wait when the option was like available to me, which is usually with people that weren't very familiar with what the Gene Circle could do, and it really loses its power the higher up you go into a tournament. Like if I'm going against someone at the top table, like they will know not to let me line and wait and grab an objective. So it loses all of its power at that point.
Yep. So exacting planner. This is a 15-point Primus model only. Once per battle in your command phase, this model can use this ability. If it does so until the end of the phase, this model can use its meticulous planar ability one additional time. And each time this model uses the meticulous planar ability, you can select one friendly cult unit within 9 inches of this model for the ability instead of a cult core unit.
Yeah. So, you want your Ridge Runners to get your meticulous planner for a turn?
Done.
Yep. Alchemist Supreme, it's 15 points as well. It goes on a Biophagus. Model only. When you give a unit this ability, select one cult core or cult aberrant unit from your army and select one genomic enhancement from that unit to gain. So it's pretty much for 15 points. If you have a bio in your army, you just get to pick pre-game a unit from your list to just get the buff.
Yep. So here's maybe the best one or second best. This is a trap sprung. It's 15 points. You roll 3d6 to charge, sacrifice the lowest or sacrifice any one of them you want. That's pretty awesome. You combine that with Return to Shadows. Ha! Next turn he comes in, does it again.
It's only the first time they come in.
Why do you gotta break my dreams here? I can't read.
Yeah. Because remember, so it says when this unit is set up on the battlefield as reinforcement as a result of being set up underground until the end of the turn, each time a charge roll is made for this unit, roll one additional dice and discard one of the lowest. So when you go back in from because of the strat.
Oh, it's not underground technically. Yeah, you're bad.
Yeah. Which we'll get to about with the secondary, but yeah. And with this and a reroll and coming in within 8 inches, and there's ability to get a +1 also in this codex, you have like a 90-something% chance of getting a charge. So pretty good.
Pretty good.
Here's the one that they already previewed, a perfect ambush. It is 15 points as well. Yep. Crossfire unit only. When this unit is set up on the battlefield as reinforcements as a result of being set up underground, you can use this ability. If you do so, select one enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit until the end of the turn. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack against that enemy unit, that enemy unit is treated as having a crossfire marker and is being exposed for that attack. So 15 points, give a crossfire unit. When they come in, something within 12 inches, you get +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and ignore cover.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
All right. From every angle, this is 10 inches. I think smart players will be using this probably.
You mean 10 points?
Yeah. Or what did I say?
10 inches.
Oh, sorry. Wonder what I got on the mind. At the start of the first battle round, if the mission uses the strategic reserves rules, this unit can be placed into strategic reserves without having to spend any additional CPs, regardless of how many units are already in strategic reserves. So it breaks the 50% rule. When setting up this unit from strategic reserves, treat this current battle round number as being 1 higher. Note, that means that this unit can arrive from strategic reserves in the first battle round. So if you don't want something to die, maybe you're playing against guard and they have 3 basilisks and 3 manticores, don't put it on the table.
Yeah. You already would have to pre-purchase this before you figure out what you're against. But this is what I was thinking about. If I was going to bring Ridge Runners, I'd bring 3 and I'd give them from every angle.
Every time.
Yeah. Because they come on turn 1.
Yep. Just like me.
Meditations in the Shadows, which is also 15 points. It's a Psyker model only, so Patriarch or Magus, and this model knows 1 additional psychic power from the Broodmind discipline. So you get to know 1 extra power for 15 points.
This is my favorite.
I like this one too.
It's weird. It is 20 points, so it's one of the steeper ones, and it's called Excavate. Before the battle, if this unit is set up underground, it can excavate. If it does so, in the Resolve pre-battle abilities step of the mission sequence, select 1 terrain feature on the battlefield. You cannot select a fortification. That would be hilarious. That terrain feature loses the defensible, heavy cover, light cover, and inspiring targets, and gains the difficult ground trait. So you got that army that just wants to castle into a back corner in that giant GW fashion piece of terrain. Oh, good luck getting out of it if you're a slow moving 4-inch Terminator.
Oh yeah. And then not only that, but you can spend that 1 CP for tunnel crawlers and you can charge them for free. And you don't have to worry about taking -2.
So funny.
Oh yeah. I also like this one that we're about to do. This one replaced the whole janky thing of you could deploy outside your deployment zone with certain things to get that really nice charge. That's kind of it got kind of baked into this thing. And so it's called They Came From Below. It's 10 points. It has to go in a non-vehicle unit only. So it can't be on your truck anymore, your Goliath rock grinder. But if this unit is set up in ambush, when revealing ambush markers, you can do one of the following. So this is on one of your guys. They're a blip. When you're about to reveal that blip, you do one of 2 things. You either remove 1 ambush marker from the battlefield and set it up underground. So just now it's in deep strike. Or setting up this unit from an ambush marker, this unit can make a normal move as if it were your movement phase, but must end more than 9 inches away from an enemy model. So you get the only way to scout move coming in from a blip.
It's amazing. I
And you
love
could
it.
do it on something. So like I think this is really good on Gene Stealers. Pure string
Same.
Gene Stealers. Yep.
So our time is 15 points. The time for the first time this unit is selected to fight in this battle. Until that fight is resolved, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of models in this unit. This is not cumulative with the additional attack granted by the Might from Beyond psychic power, unfortunately. But you put it on a max unit of acolytes, doesn't matter. That's freaking awesome.
Oh yeah.
15 points.
And this also is why I believe that you might not need to take psychers as much as you had to prior, because our psychic powers are all nerfed. You still have the ability to give Might from Beyond essentially for 15 points, and you still have the ability to give Ignore Overwatch for 1 CP.
Yeah, but as we read on, you'll realize that you'd be stupid not to take a psyker because of a stupid relic.
Yeah, I mean it's nice, and if you want to like have a better chance than a Grey Knights, because that is a S tier army, but.
All right, let's get into these traits.
Yeah, hit some warlord traits here. So again, we'll go back and forth. I'll take the first one. We've talked about this a couple times. This is an old one now. Focus of Adoration. While a friendly cult core called Pure Strain Gene Stealer unit is within 6 inches of this warlord, that unit is eligible to perform heroic interventions as if it were a character.
Yeah, Shadow Stalker. Each time an attack is made against this warlord, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll.
You got Biomorph Adaptation. You get to add 1 to the attacks and toughness characteristics of the warlord. I feel like this is the one I usually am putting on my Primus.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. Prowling Adjutant. Once per turn, when the warlord is selected as the target of a charge, before the charge roll is made, and after firing any Overwatch, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. That's my favorite dick move warlord trait.
Oh yeah, like how we were talking earlier about how I wish you could have done those fire and fade things. Now, well, you have it, but now it's on a warlord.
So freaking funny.
Makes him real hard to tag in melee.
Oh yeah.
Alien Majesty, same as it was before. Add 3 inches to the range of this warlord's aura ability, and add 3 inches to the following abilities this warlord has. So if it's a jackal, you get meticulous planner or priority target. So like essentially, if it has a buff that says like you do something within 6 inches, that also is 3 inches bigger. So their abilities are also 3 inches longer, and their auras are 3 inches longer.
Yep. Preternatural speed. Each time this warlord makes a melee attack, you can reroll the hit roll. At the start of the fight phase, if this warlord is within the engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight first that phase. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I wish this was a fight last. They would make it good. I feel like fighting first is not good.
I agree.
Because you can still get interrupted. Like, I don't know. You can't choose to fight with something else than fight with him knowing he's going to be safe. It's kind of like a weird, yeah. It's not as good. All right, so let's hit the psychic powers that are all nerfed.
Power.
Do you want to hit the first one?
Yeah, why not? Mass Hypnosis, Malediction. It has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of invisible to this psyker until the start of your next psychic phase. Subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic of models in that unit. And in the fight phase, this unit is not eligible to fight until after all eligible units from your army have done so. So nothing different with this one.
Except that they can still Overwatch.
Oh yeah. Dang it. Whatever. Your turn.
And no, there's actually a lot different. It's subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic of the model. So not -1 to hit. They just get 1 less attack.
That wasn't what it was previously?
No, it was -1 to hit.
Oh. All right. Weird. Okay.
Yep. Mind Control, which
Why
is
are we going over this one? This is stupid.
This one is like the most nerfed of all of them. Because it's not even close to what it did. So Mind Control, Malediction, has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select 1 enemy unit within 18 and visible to the psyker until the start of your next psychic phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So there's that. And if the result of the psychic test was equal to or greater than that unit's leadership characteristic, subtract 1 from that unit's leadership characteristic and subtract 1 from combat attrition tests taken for that unit. So, ooh, they have to take morale maybe.
Maybe. Sonic Blast. It has a warp charge value of 5. If manifested, select one enemy unit with 18 inches of and visible to the psyker. For the purpose of selecting that enemy unit, unless the enemy unit is within engagement range of this psyker, the Lookout Sir rule applies as if the psychic power was a ranged weapon with a range characteristic of 18. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the result of the psychic test was equal to or greater than that unit's leadership, the characteristic that unit suffers 3 mortal wounds instead of D3.
Just a possibly better smite, maybe.
Yeah, except now you can't snipe characters with it if they have other shit around them.
Yeah. And if you do roll above the leadership and they have a high leadership, you would have just had a super smite possibly anyways.
Yeah.
So you can possibly do less damage. The next one is the most weird one, and it's another nerf to Mental Onslaught. It's second nerf. I don't understand why they can't get a good idea on how to make this power work, because they keep just making it bad. So the way it works now is it has a warp charge value of 5, which is okay, because at least that's an easy one to get off. But if manifested, select one enemy unit within 24 inches and visible to this psyker, and roll 4d6. For each result of a 5+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. If any models in that unit are destroyed as a result of these mortal wounds, but that unit is not destroyed, keep repeating this process, reducing the number of dice rolled by 1 each time, until any of the following conditions are met during that repeat. Either you roll the number of dice is 0, obviously, you roll no results of a 5+, or no enemy models are destroyed. So this is literally pretty much only good against 1 wound models. And so you roll 4 dice, you do a mortal wound for every 5 up. If nothing dies, you're done. If something dies, then you get to do it again, but with 1 less dice, essentially.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Psychic Stimulus. It's a blessing. It has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select one friendly cult unit within 18 inches of and visible to the psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, that unit is eligible to shoot and or declare a charge in a turn that it advanced or fell back. Models in that unit did not suffer the penalty incurred to their hit rolls for firing assault weapons in the same turn in which their unit advanced. So, that's probably our best or second best power.
That's the only one that has some sort of buff associated with it.
Yep.
It got nerfed because now you have to see the target, but it got buffed in that you can fall back and also get the charge now, which is nice.
And you get the last one, which got nerfed hugely as well.
Not as bad, but yeah. Might from Beyond, warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select one friendly cult unit within 18 inches and visible to the psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, they get +1 attack.
No more +1 strength.
No more +1 strength. Now you have to spend a CP for it.
Ugh.
Impossible to take damage.
Exactly. Let's go to relics.
I actually like almost every single relic.
Which sucks, because now I can't just be like, well, here's my relics I take every time. Now I gotta think about it.
Yep. Which is at least better than last time. I like it.
Yeah. All right. You want to start or me?
I'll go. So, Sword of the Void's Eye. Model equipped with the Cult Bone Sword or Locust Blades only. This relic replaces a Cult Bone Sword or Locust Blades and has the following profile. Strength +2, -3 AP, 2 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, you can reroll the hit and wound roll. Very consistent.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Hand of Aberrance. Model equipped with a Toxin Injector Claw only. This relic replaces a Toxin Injector Claw and has the following profile. It is Strength User, AP2, 3 damage. Each time the bear fights, it makes 1 additional attack with this weapon. Each time an attack is made with this weapon against a unit, excluding vehicle or Titanic, an unmodified wound roll of 2+ is always successful.
I love putting this on my Primus. That's 6 attacks, -2, wounding on 2s, 3 damage.
It's pretty juicy.
Yeah, it's really good. Amulet of the Void Worm.
Oh.
The bear has a 4-up invuln save. Once per battle, when an attack is allocated to the bear, it can channel the Shadow in the Warp. If it does so, the saving throw is automatically a 6. So pretty much once per battle, you just get to go, I just passed this save.
Yep.
Each time the bear declares a charge, enemy units that were targeted by that charge cannot fire Overwatch or set defend against that charge. So it's the exact same as it was, but now it gets that little juicy. You get a 1 free auto pass.
It's pretty awesome. All right. Oppressor's Bane, models equipped with an auto pistol only. The bear gains Crossfire ability and the Crossfire keyword. This relic replaces an auto pistol and has the following profile. Oppressor's Bane, range 15 inches, pistol 3, strength 4, AP 2, 2 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, the target is treated as having a Crossfire marker and as being exposed for the attack.
And I should point out that the Kellermorph does not have an auto pistol, so he cannot take the Oppressor's Bane. However,
so tame that boner, and this next thing will put that boner right back.
Yeah, he gets to instead take the next relic, which is called Wormtooth Rounds, and that's the Kellermorph only relic. Each time the bear shoots, you can select any number of Liberator auto stubs it is equipped with to fire a Liberator Wormtooth round. So it gives you the option. You don't have to use this, which there's reasons why. If you do so, then until the shooting is resolved, each Liberator auto stub you select has the following profile. It instead goes to 18-inch range. It has heavy 1, strength 6, -3, 3 damage. But it loses the Liberator auto stubs ability, which is target characters.
Correct. Which means you can also have 6 shots at this.
Yeah, he still will be able to double his shots like he normally does if he hits. However, he only gets 1 shot each instead of 2 shots.
All right. Dagger of Swift Sacrifice, model equipped with a Magus Bio Dagger or Sanctus Bio Dagger only. Each time the bear is selected to fight, you can reroll 1 rune roll when making the bear's attacks. And each time after the bear has fought, select 1 enemy model that has lost any wounds as a result of an attack made by the bear's Magus Bio Dagger or Sanctus Bio Dagger, but was not destroyed. Roll 1d6 on a 3+, that model suffers D3 mortal wounds. If it is destroyed, any excess mortal wounds are ignored. Wah, wah.
This is just bad. This is one of the bad ones. Especially how bad the melee Sanctus is. He's a literal garbage.
Garbage.
My old favorite, and now I don't really will probably take this anymore, but the Crouchling models equipped with the Psychic Familiar only replace that Psychic Familiar's ability with the following ability. So now instead of using up your Familiar, the Crouchling just lets you reroll a Psychic test each turn, which is pretty nice because it was once per game, and now he just gets to do it each turn. And each time a Psychic test is passed for this model, if all dice results of that were the same, that Psychic power or Psychic action cannot be denied. So it definitely says Psychic action in here, so it does help making him a little bit better at doing secondaries. If you're going to take those Psychic secondaries, you have a 1 in 6 chance of not being able to be denied.
Yeah. Next, we got a old favorite, the Gift from Beyond. Model equipped with a Colt sniper rifle only, obviously replaces that. It is a range of 48 inches, heavy 1, strength 5, AP 3, 3 damage. Each time you select the target for this weapon, you can ignore the Lookout Sir roll. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified wound roll, a 4+ inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target, in addition to any normal damage. Oh, it's just a beefier sniper rifle. That's it.
Yeah, all it does is it gives you plus 12 inches and 1 extra damage. Everything else is the exact same as the normal sniper rifle.
Oh, crap. You get the good one.
I'll let you do this one too, and I'll get the last 2.
All right, deal. So this is the best relic in the game by leaps and bounds. This is the only reason you will probably take a Magus. So this Psyker model only, the bear can attempt to deny 1 additional psychic power in your opponent's psychic phase. While the bear is on the battlefield, each time it attempts to deny a psychic power, it can do so from any range instead of 24 inches. Each time the bear attempts to manifest a malediction or witchfire psychic power, it can add 1 to that attempt's psychic test. Ooh, so good.
Yeah.
Love it.
So they want to try to give that early defense buff out there because they went first. Still can deny it. Now it's still being rolled against, but they can never rule out being out of range to guarantee that if it goes off, they won't get canceled.
Correct.
Cranial Inlay, I love this one because I also love the Nexus. It goes on the Nexus model only, while the bearer is on the battlefield. Each time you spend a command point, use a stratagem, you can roll 1d6 on a 5 up. That command point is refunded. So just like he used to do, but now it's on a 5+. And also, he gets to use his strategic coordination ability an additional time per turn. And we'll get to that in a little bit.
I think this is an auto take.
Yeah, it's really nice because you spend 1 CP to get it. There's almost, you're getting 3 or 4 back, so it definitely pays for itself.
Yep.
And then I'll get the last one, the Voice of the Liberator. It goes into Climb Abyss. I'm not really sold on the Climb Abyss yet, so we'll see. You get to add 6 inches to his Proclamation Hailer and Voice of New Truth's abilities, so both of his abilities. And while a friendly cult unit is within 12 inches of the bear, add 1 to the leadership characteristic of models in that unit. I wish I would have made him fearless. Maybe it would have been good.
Yeah.
All right. Secondaries.
Do we really want to go over these? They suck.
Yeah, I think the other 2 are good. The first one's just really bad.
All right. I'll go over the really bad one.
Okay.
Shadow operations. Sabotage critical location. After choosing deployment zones, your opponent must place 2 critical location markers on the battlefield. Your opponent, let's emphasize that. Each of their critical location markers must be more than 9 inches away from any battlefield edge and more than 9 inches away from the other critical location marker. Basically, it's going to be in their deployment zone. Duh. If both players must place these markers, the players alternate doing so, starting with the defender. If you select this objective, then units from your army can perform the following action. Oh, geez. Sabotage critical location. 1 or more infantry or biker units from your army, excluding character units other than reductive saboteur units, can start to perform this action at the end of the move unit step of your movement phase. Each unit from your army that starts to perform this action must be within 3 inches of the center of a different one of your opponent's critical location markers, and no enemy units, excluding aircraft, can be within 3 inches of the center of that critical location marker. This action is completed at the end of your turn, provided the unit performing it is still within range of the same critical location marker. If this action is successfully completed, you have sabotaged that critical location. Remove that critical location marker from the battlefield. Score victory points each time a unit from your army completes the sabotage critical location action as shown below. If it was done on turn 2, you get 9 points. Turn 3, 7. Turn 4, 5. Turn 5, 3.
Yeah, so the reason why this is so bad is I am the enemy. I go, okay, your first critical location is on my home objective, and the next one is 9 inches away where I will also be. You might get that one. You ain't getting it on turn 3. You ain't, unless you're literally tabling me. So the best chance you have is getting it on like turn 4, and you get 5 points.
You would use this against maybe knights or Army of Renown orc speed freak mob, where they're probably sending their entire army after you, with the exception of something standing on the back objective, which you will kill with something else.
But here's the issue, though, with that. I come in, I kill that. I still can't do this because it has to be in my movement phase.
I know. I didn't say you're scoring it on turn 2.
I'd have to survive. Like, it's just so bad. There's so many things they could have just easily changed just slightly enough to make it like interesting enough where you might take it.
That would require GW having forethought.
I'll hit the other 2.
Okay.
The next one is Battlefield Supremacy. It's Brood Swarm. At the end of your turn, score 1 victory point for each of the following that applies to a maximum of 4 victory points. You have more models within your opponent's deployment zone than your opponent does. You have more models within your deployment zone than your opponent does. And you have more models on the battlefield that are not within either player's deployment zone than your opponent does. And if all 3 apply, you get an extra point. So remember, the keyword here is models, not units. So this is a good one against knights because he has knights. If I just put 5 acolytes in his backfield, I'm probably got more units.
Oh, yeah. This was an auto take against knights for sure.
Yeah, so it's good in certain cases. The reason why it's not as good is because battlefield supremacy, which we already do well, so it's very niche. It maybe take this also if it's like the 4 objective mission and you can't do strangle, but like
True.
and then the last one is also situational, purge the enemy, and I'll explain why I don't like this one in a second. It's at the end of your turn, score victory points in the following ways. There's only 3 ways, so you can only get possibly 3 points per turn. Score 1 victory point if 1 or more enemy units were destroyed that had the crossfire marker. That's pretty good. Score 1 victory point if 1 or more enemy units were destroyed this turn by units from your army that were set up from ambush or from underground during this turn. That's the issue, and I'll talk about that in a second. And score 1 victory point if 1 or more enemy units were destroyed this turn as a result of a ranged attack made by a model from your army, and that enemy unit was exposed when it was selected as the target for that ranged attack. Note, this has to be the legit exposed, not by other means. So pretty much you have to kill something that has had crossfire and exposed by the legit reasons. And then you have to do it also, you get 1 point if you came in from underground or your blip. You can only come in from underground on turns or blip from on turns 1, 2, and 3. After that, even if you went back into deep strike with return, you don't count is coming in from underground. So this is only a possibility of 12 points.
Yep.
Or sorry, 13 points. And that's
If
if you kill something every turn with them.
Yep.
And so most likely you're not killing something on turn 1. So you probably will get 12 points on this. So this is like one of those where you're like, okay, I have no other good secondaries. This one I will probably get 10 points on, and so then you take it. That's how this one will work out. I need 10 points. I can't think of a good secondary. Take this one.
Yep.
Because you should get 10 points. It's just not as good as anyone. All the other ones were like, oh, I'm Grey Knights. I just get 15 points.
Stupid. I hate the Grey Knight one.
All right, let's go into some units.
All right. I would like going into the units.
All right, so you want to hit the
start
first
with
one?
Patriarch.
All right.
So
I'll
Patriarch,
tell the points, and then you can tell the thing. How about that?
I had it open.
Okay, good.
Patriarch is 140 points, plus 10 points for a psychic familiar. Movement 8, weapon skill 2, both skill 4 for some reason, strength 5, toughness 5. He has wounds 7 and 6 attacks with a leadership 10 and a save of 4+. Now, Patriarch's claws, they are strength user, AP 3, flat 2 damage. You can, anytime an attack is made with this weapon, you can reroll the rune rolls like normal, an unmodified rune roll of 6. That attack has an AP characteristic of 6 and does a flat 3 damage. So it's no longer D3, which is groovy.
Yeah, that he lost the strength, he lost the strength though.
Yeah, but he gained a wound.
Yeah, and he gained a 4-up invuln.
Well, I'm not done. Rude. He's got conceal, which is pretty cool. Living idle aura. When a friendly unit was within 6 inches of this model, each time a combat attrition test for that unit, you can ignore any modifiers. Wah, wah. Swift and deadly. He can advance and charge, and his supernatural preternatural reflexes is now a 4+ invulnerable save, which is beautiful.
Yep, finally we get some of the 4-up invuln.
Finally, and he should have had it from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
All right, go ahead on the Primus.
Well, you got your psychic.
Oh yeah, whatever. Okay, he can manifest 2 psychic powers in your psychic phase and attempt to deny 1 power.
Yeah, so that's good. That's double.
Yeah.
So I feel like overall he got nerfed. Yes, he can cast 2 powers. That's good. He got an extra wound. That's good. He lost a strength. He did go up 4-up invuln, but he also doesn't give fearless, which I think is huge for this army.
It's massive. It's ridiculously how massive that is. It's just like,
He's definitely only there to kill and do psychic, and he can't get that killy compared to most other lists.
Nope.
Like he costs 140 points, and he ain't no succubus.
He is. Nobody's a succubus except a succubus.
Well, he ain't no What's the Killy Orc one? On a Squigosaur.
Or the war boss on bike with
Yeah.
the Killer Claw and Brutal Behemoth.
Or the good Space Marine one, or the good Sisters one, or
We
all
get
these.
it. We get it. It's a theme. We get it.
Primus, he's worth 80 points. Move 6, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 5, attacks 4, leadership 9, 5 plus save. He's got his scoped needle pistol, 18-inch range, pistol 1, strength 1, no AP, D3 damage, always wins on a 2-up as long as it's not a vehicle or a Titanic model. So I think it's the same, except it's got an extra 6 inches range, I think. But just like it used to do.
Yeah.
Cult Bone Swords.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Cult Bone Swords, we've already seen what these do. I mean, we've already seen all these profiles already, but Cult Bone Sword, +1 strength, -2 AP, 2 damage, pretty good. And then Toxic Injector Claw, strength user, -1, 1 damage. You get to make 1 additional attack though with this weapon, and you always wound on a 2-up except against vehicles or Titanic. And then his abilities, he gets Conceal and Unquestioned Loyalty. I guess that's issue here.
What?
Is that a hold on? Is that a mistype here? He has Unquestioning Loyalty, so does that mean that the Patriarch doesn't have Unquestioning Loyalty?
Wait. It has to be a mistype. That's hilarious.
Maybe it's the thing that Unquestioning Loyalty lets you jump in front, so maybe that's the issue. And he can't jump in front. Maybe that's it, because I think that's how it used to be.
Gotcha.
So he might be fine. I just haven't. I have to go back and read it, but I'm sure it's fine. If not, it's a mistype. Cult Demigorg, while a friendly cult core unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack reroll, hit rolls 1. So his aura is reroll hit rolls of 1 now instead of getting +1 to hit. And it's only on cult core. But then he also has his other ability, which is Meticulous Planner. And it's in your command phase. Select 1 friendly cult core unit within 9 inches of this model until the start of your next command phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. And there is one thing we kind of bypassed earlier. I wanted to wait until we got to this. There's another thing that has to do with underground, and that's when units are set up from underground. If they have a command phase ability, the first time that they're set up, they immediately get to do it. So when the Primus comes in, even though he wasn't there in the command phase ability or the command phase, he gets to do his command phase ability the first time he comes in from Deep Strike. So he will get to do his Meticulous Planner. And again, that's select 1 cult core within 9 inches and get to reroll 1s to wound.
Yep. All right. Let's go over the Magus. 80 points. Stat line's the same. Comes with an auto pistol, a 4-stab. I don't think the 4-stab is different. Did it go up in strength? Was it always +3 strength?
I think it was +2, but it might be wrong.
+3 now, AP1, D3 damage. He's got a Magus Bow Dagger. Each time this bear fights, no more than 1 attack can be made with this weapon. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, except a target of a vehicle or Titanic, an unmodified roll of 3+ inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack signals in. So it's just a 1 mortal wound thingy bopper. It can't have a familiar. We already know what that does. It has Conceal, Unquestioning Loyalty, and Spiritual Leader, while a friendly cult, infantry, or biker unit is within 6 inches of this model. Each time a model in that unit would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound in the psychic phase, it has a 5-up feel no pain, which is pretty great, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think I like this better than the old version.
I do as well. And this model can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers and deny 1, which is, again, twice as many as the last one. And that is fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah. I wish he got it in Volsave, maybe. All the stats are the same. Obviously, we've already seen these stats because they've been leaked online. Yep. All right, let's hit the Icon Ward. This is my buddy.
Love this guy.
Movement 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, toughness 4, 4 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 8, 5 plus save.
75 points.
Yeah, set 75 points. He's got auto pistol, cult claws, which we know it's strength user, -3/1 damage, and blasting charge, which we've already seen. He gets conceal and questioning loyalty as well. However, he gets some new stuff. He gets Nexus of Devotion, which is in your command phase. If a friendly cult core unit is within 6 inches of this model, that unit can summon the cult. So he just does the cult icon, but on everybody around him, that's a cult core unit. So
Okay.
it's just, instead of having to invest the points separately on the units and not get to use it, you just put it on a character that can't get targeted, and he has a chance of doing it. And not only does he do that, he also has another ability, which is called Sacred Cult Banner, and that's an action. And so he gets the action Sacred Cult Banner. Go figure. At the end of the move units step of your movement phase, one Acolyte Icon Ward model from your army can start to perform this action. This action is completed at the start of your charge phase. If this action is successfully completed, the model that performed this action gains the following aura ability until the end of the turn: Sacred Cult Banner Aura. While a friendly cult infantry, cult biker, or cult character, excluding a Gene Stealer unit, is within 6 inches of this model, add 1 to the charge.
Juicy.
So, yeah. So, you're coming in from 8 inches? Well, now you're got 7 inches.
Yep. Now we have the Jackal Alphys, probably a no-take unit. It is 80 points. Movement 14, weapon skill 3, BS2, strength 3, T4, went down 1 wound to 4. I wasn't this preview today, I think. Attacks 3, leadership 8, 4 plus save.
They get a buster save.
Yeah. Has a Colt sniper rifle, which is strength 5, AB3, 2 damage. Does the normal stuff as its ability. And it has a blasting charge. Has conceal, unquestioning loyalty, crossfire. It has priority target. In your command phase, select one friendly cult core crossfire unit within 9 inches of this model. Then select one enemy within 36 inches of and visible to this model until the end of the turn. Each time this model or model in that friendly unit makes a ranged attack against that enemy unit, the enemy unit is treated as being exposed for the attack. It is a master outrider. While this model is within 6 inches of a friendly cult Atlan jackals or vehicle unit, enemy models cannot target this model while with ranged weapons unless it's the closest eligible target. Each time an attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. And it has the jackal ability. This model is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back.
Yeah, because the +1 to hit got moved to, your whole army gets it. So this kind of just gives you the exposed treatment.
Correct.
And it is
they could have treated him better.
Yeah. It is the first Crossfire model that we've talked about so far, though.
Yeah.
And speaking of Crossfire, Acolyte Hybrids, which are also Crossfire. Acolyte Hybrids went up 1 point, so now they're 9 points a model. They can only be taken in up to 15 now, so 5 to 15. So they did get hit with that. You can't take 20 anymore. So movement 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 1, attacks 2, leadership 7, 5 plus save. The notable differences here are that they don't get their dagger anymore. They move the dagger into their claws, so they don't have writing claws now. So they did kind of get +1 attack, because before the dagger was kind of like either useful because you're going into like Harley Quinn invols, or it was useless because you're going into stuff that had like a 2-up save. But now they blended it.
Or you just forgot to use your dagger,
or you're Cliff and you forgot to use your dagger. But now it's just one profile. So essentially they have 3 attacks at user strength -2, 1 damage. So that's a nice buff.
I like it.
Hand flamers unchanged. The sergeants in the Acolyte Hybrids and the Metamorphs can choose to take a Cult Bone Sword or a Cult Lash Whip, and it either replaces their gun or their claws, and they get to choose, or they could take both and replace both. And so the Cult Bone Sword is +1 strength, -2 damage, And then the Cult Lash Whip just lets you reroll all hit rolls. So I think at first glance, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace all my sergeant's pistols with Cult Lash Whips, because who cares if they don't have an auto pistol, but now they get to reroll all hits. I
Yeah,
think
it's pretty good.
yeah. So I think I'll just end up doing that. But let's talk about the other fun things, which is the new heavy rock stuff. So we get the new heavy rock saw, which is not new. It's literally the exact same. It's strength times 2 minus 4/2 damage. That's it. Just copy paste. My current favorite, but now it got nerfed in the new book, the heavy rock cutter. Strength times 2 minus 4, 3 damage, but it's -1 to hit. And then the most weird one, which I thought was complete crap, but after doing a bunch of math hammer, it
Too much math.
actually pumps out damage. It's actually really good.
My favorite. So.
Yeah, it's not the best with pure damage, but it does do better the more defensive buffs the enemy has. And so what it does is times 2 strength, which literally means nothing.
Wait, did you declare what the weapon was?
Heavy rock drill.
There you go.
-4, 1 damage. However, each time an attack is made with this weapon, if a hit is scored, that attack automatically wounds the target. And on an unmodified hit roll of a 6, the target suffers 2 mortal wounds in additional to any normal damage. So it automatically wounds the target if you hit. And if you hit with a 6, you do 2 mortal wounds.
Yeah. So max unit unbuffed has 12 attacks. That's
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. It's pretty good. But that's also why there's no reroll like hits in this codex, because I feel like rock drills would start to get real dumb if you could. All of these are 10 points upgrades. Hand flamers are still 3-point upgrades. Bone swords are 5 points. And then another slight buff, which kind of got overshadowed, is the demolition charge. When you purchase the demolition charge for the acolytes, it's actually 10 points, unlike the jackals, which is 5 points. But that's because one acolyte gets to hold 2 demo charges.
I dig it. And the profile is different.
Yeah, strength 8, -3, 2 damage. But we already saw the demo charge stat line.
Yep.
So that's pretty nice.
And it also gets Conceal, Unquestioning Loyalty, and Crossfire.
Yep. So it has Crossfire. You want to hit the Neos? I mean, those are already previewed, but hit them anyways.
We have Neophyte Hybrids, which there is a misprint in the back where the points values is. It says 5 to 15, but the profile that I'm looking at now for the actual page, it shows the model, is 9 to 19. So just a misprint. And they're only 6 points each. Now, the stat line, it's the same. They didn't get a buff in toughness like the hybrids did.
Makes sense, though.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I don't want to go too deep into this. I just want to go into the big changes. So the big changes is it can now, in a unit of 20, take 4 heavy weapons. That's pretty significant. Mm-hmm. It utilizes some of the strats much better than just being able to take 2. If you're looking for a shooty army with lots of bodies, this is basically how you do it with Neophyte Hybrids. The weapons are very similar, with the exception of a few. We have the mining lasers the same. The seismic cannon, which was already borderline one of my preferred weapons in the game, despite how bad it was, is now probably the auto take weapon. Would you agree or disagree?
I feel like it's still debatable. I probably would still take mining lasers, but I can see why seismic cannons are good.
So seismic cannon, long wave is 24 inches, heavy 6, strength 4, AP 1, 1 damage. Short wave, shocking, also 24 inches, heavy 3, strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage. That's really awesome to me. So if you have 4 of those in there, that's 12 attacks with that, and that can eat through quite a bit.
Yeah. The only reason I don't like it as much is because the mine laser and seismic cannon are 15 points each.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
It gets expensive fast.
It sure does. I don't think we'll see a ton of neophyte hybrids, but maybe a unit, maybe. It just depends on what kind of builds you go. So the web pistols got completely reworked, but they are also overly expensive. A web pistol, range 12, it's pistol 1. It only has strength 1 and I guess technically 1 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, do not make a hit roll. Instead, roll 1d6 and the attack sequence ends if the result is greater than the highest strength characteristic of the target unit. That unit suffers 1 mortal wound. The Weber, same thing, except it's 18 inches and it's assault D3. So you can get up to 3 mortal wounds with the Weber.
Yeah, and it's 10 points. So the way I look at it is it's 10 points, and if you're going into T3, it's the same efficiency as if you just have Smite.
Correct. Sergeant can, I guess, take a chainsword, a power maul, a power pick. I don't think any of those have changed.
They might have a little bit, but they've already been previewed.
Nobody took those anyway, so.
Yeah. And then
conceal unquestioning loyalty and Crossfire. Am I missing anything?
I guess we forgot to mention, especially in the acolytes, cult icon.
Oh yeah,
they're 20 points.
It's a huge point sink when you can just really have a nexus.
Yeah, you mean acolyte icon ward?
That's what I meant.
Yeah, or use those 20 points to literally buy more models because the chances of you continuing to use that efficient is not there.
Correct. And you're going to read one of my new favorite models.
Yeah, so let's go to some elites here. We got Pure Strain Gene Sealers, and they are 14 points a pop. They are, I think they also got nerfed in the term of amount you can take, because I think you could have taken 20 at some point, but now it's only
Never
5.
would.
It's 5 to 10, which is not anything I'm complaining about, just pointing out. Their move 8, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 6, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 1, 4 attacks base, leadership 9, and a 5-up save, which we don't even care about because we have a 4-up invuln.
Oh.
We can advance and charge, and their basic attack is strength user -3, 1 damage.
So beautiful.
Yeah, they have also conceal, questioning loyalty. That's pretty much it. They are not core. They are not core. So far, the only core is acolytes and neophytes.
Correct.
And speaking of core,
we will hop into the hybrid metamorphs at 12 points a model. You can take these in units of 5 to 15. And the stat line is move 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4, strength 4, T4, wounds 1, attacks 3, leadership 7, save 5 plus. Have a pistol, you can take a hand flamer, a bone sword. Now here's the thing. I both love and hate this new change. I love it because I love the new metamorph mutations. I hate it because it invalidates all the different cool options cosmetically.
Yes.
So metamorphic mutations, it is strength +1, AP 3, 1 damage. And that's a cool profile. It means they're going to be hitting on threes with strength 5 and AP 3. So it's going to eat through a decent amount of stuff, especially with 3 attacks base. Let's see, go through this. Abilities. This is what makes this unit so freaking juicy. It's got conceal and questioning loyalty and crossfire, but the big takeaway is savage amalgam. I don't know if I'm saying that right at all. How do you say it?
Amalgam.
Amalgam. Yeah, I'd have never got that. Each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model has not fought this phase, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making attacks after doing so. Any other rules that affect this model when it is destroyed are triggered, if any, and the model is removed from play. So, who cares if you charge a unit that makes you attack last? You're going to get your shit in.
Yep. Lets you attack with way more units because now you can make one fight last. You can charge these in, and then you can charge another unit in, pick that one, and then they have to spend 2 CP to interrupt to fight your metamorphs. and they get to fight anyways if they die.
Yeah. I mean, it makes the whole trade-off game way in the favor of GSC.
Yep. And you get the benefits of not having to worry about buying whips for all of them because it's just built in.
Yeah, so all those cool little things you put on them, their claws, their whips, their double talons, those mean diddly squat.
Yep. The only thing that matters now is if you gave one a cult lash whip, and that can only go in the sergeant because they can still take the cult lash whip for reroll hits, or cult bone swords. All right, and this one's contentious between you and me. I think that they have play you don't at all.
I think you can shove it up your butt.
I'm still iffy on how many to take. I think between 5 and 10 is fine, but we'll see. And that is the Aberrant, and they are 30 points a model. 30 points. So they didn't get better in terms of points. You can only have between 5 and 10.
I think that's a misprint. I think it's supposed to be 0 and none.
There is one difference here, though. You can only take one hypermorph. So the hypermorph is now just the sergeant. You can't take 2 per 5. Or sorry, 2 and 10. They are movement 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 6, strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 3, attacks 2, leadership 7, save 5+. I guess we should point out that every sergeant has an additional attack. So the Acolyte Sergeant, the Neophyte Sergeant, the Metamorph Sergeant, and the Aberrant Sergeant, and then any other sergeants will always have an extra attack. And then so save 5+. Now you don't need to worry about taking picks or hammers because guess what? They are also put into one unit or into one weapon called the Heavy Power Weapon. And it is strength +3, so strength 8 in this case, -2, flat 3, which is actually a very good damage profile. The sergeant can take the heavy improvised weapon. He can. He doesn't have to. I think I won't because it's a very awkward weapon to put in on your sergeant because it is nerfed. It's only strength +1, -1, 2 damage. But every damage it deals gets to roll over. So it's like a flail where like if you're killing 1 wound models, it will kill 2 of them instead of just 1. Kind of weird because it's only strength 6, and I feel like you're kind of going into big targets with the power weapons.
Yeah, if you're charging chaff with your aberrants, you're playing them wrong.
Yeah, unless like that's some key thing to winning the game, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously the hypermorph also has its hypermorph tail, which it gets 1 additional attack, and it's just strength user -1 damage.
I'll let you touch on the Abominate if you want to after this.
Yeah, okay. And then here's where it also kind of took a little bit of the wind out of her sails. They still have Bestial Vigor, which makes you get -1 damage, but they lost their Feel No Pain. Yep. So they got an extra toughness, they got an extra wound, they lost their Feel No Pain. Just very weird. I don't get it. And then sure, I'll talk on the Abominant. He is 95 points. Movement 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 6, strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 6, attacks 3, leadership 8, 5 up. He has the power sledgehammer, which is strength ×2, -3, D3 +3 damage. So that's pretty good, right? The damage is good. He's got 3 attacks. That's the issue.
Yeah.
And then also he's got his familiar with him, which gives you 2 extra attacks at strength 4, 1 damage, no AP. He is very much different in the sense that the buffs he gives, the chosen one just lets all aberrants, so he can't even do it himself. It's just aberrants, so not him because he doesn't have the keyword. They get to reroll all hit rolls if they're within 6 inches.
If he could reroll his own hit rolls, maybe. God,
yeah,
they're so stupid.
Well, he can. But that's because the Mindworm Familiar now, instead of doing the minus psychic power stuff, each time this model is selected to fight, you can reroll a single hit roll or a single wound roll. That's so dumb.
So dumb.
Yeah. He also has Alien Resilience, so he does have a 5 up Feel No Pain, so he did not lose that. And he also has Bestial Vigor, which is -1 damage. However, he did lose his regenerate wounds every turn.
Yep.
So he also got weaker. So it's weird how they kind of like detank them. I don't know. It was weird.
All right. So next we have the Nexus. He is 50 points. I don't think his stat line changed at all. He didn't even get the 4 toughness because he's just a little scrawny white dude there.
Yep.
Let's see. He carries an auto pistol, so he's not punching anybody. He's got Conceal, Unquestioning Loyalty, and Battlefield Analysis. So in your command phase, if this model is in the battlefield, select one enemy unit on the battlefield. That unit gains a Crossfire marker. Awesome. Strategic Coordination in your command phase, select one friendly cult core unit on the battlefield, then select one of the following friendly cult character models within 6 inches of this model: the Primus, Jackal Alphas, Clamavus, and until the start of your next command phase, that cult core unit is considered to be within range of that cult character model's aura abilities and can be selected for any of that cult character model's abilities that instruct you to select a friendly unit within a specific range. So it's basically, it throws an aura onto a unit not in range, which is still pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you give him that buff, that relic, and he gets to do it twice. So you can put him in the back with the Primus, and now they're just throwing their buffs out, and they don't need to be near anybody. You got your Magus, you can spend 1 ZP and also throw your psychic abilities across the board. So this really helps you like not have to get your characters in harm's way to buff things.
I like the idea of doing it with the cult icon and reviving units across the board. Oh, that's not one of the options.
I don't know if you can do that, but yeah.
No, I guess that was just a fantasy. Oh well, it's correct. Yeah.
Clamavus. Yeah. The Clamavus is 50 points. I don't think his stat line changed either. Move 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 3, toughness 3, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, 5+ save, just has an auto pistol, conceal, and question loyalty. However, his buffs are different. He's got Proclamation Hailer. In your command phase, select one friendly cult unit within 12 inches, and you get to do one of the following in your next until the start of your next command phase. You either get to, each time that unit performs an action, it can shoot without action failing. And each time a combat attrition test is taken for that unit, it is automatically passed. I guess you could do both. He also Scrambler Array. Enemy units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcements cannot be set up within 12 inches of this unit. So that's the same. And then he gets a new ability, which definitely reminds me of the Psychomancer from the Necrons. The Voice of New Truths, which is in your morale phase. Select one enemy unit within 12 inches of this model and roll 3d6. If the result is greater than the enemy unit's leadership characteristic, select one of the following. Until the start of your next morale phase, that unit cannot perform actions. And if it is currently performing one, it immediately fails. That is really strong.
Oh, funny.
And until the start of your next movement phase, that unit loses the objective secured ability, which is also really strong. Each unit can only be selected for this ability once per phase. So again, he needs to roll. I don't know what's with the Clamavus and having to roll for his stuff to go off. But yeah, I mean, those are really strong buffs, but I feel like it's still very limited and like you're still rolling.
Yeah. All right. So we have the Locust, 50 points. Same stat line. He's got 5 attacks. Weapon skill 2, BS 3, strength 4, toughness 4 wounds, leadership 8, save 5. He's got a hypermorph tail. It's an extra attack, I guess. It's strength user, AP 1, 1 damage, and his locust blades are +1 strength, AP 3, 2 flat damage. This character has a 5 invulnerable save. It has bodyguard. During deployment, select one cult character model from your army, excluding a locust model, to be this model's ward. So you have to select this time. While this model is within 3 inches of the ward, enemy models cannot target that ward with ranged attacks. While this model is a viable target for melee attacks made by enemy model, that enemy model cannot target this model's ward with melee attacks. That's pretty legit. I guess it's just more survivability for your Patriot.
He gets melee bodyguard, which is pretty good.
It's legit. Quicksilver Strike at the start of the 5 phase. If this model is within engagement reach of any enemy units it can fight first in that phase. Should be a fight last, but what are you going to do? Sudden assault. This model is eligible to perform a heroic intervention if it is within 6 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of any enemy unit instead of 3 and 5. Each time this model makes a heroic intervention move, provided it ends that move either closer to the closest enemy model or within engagement range of an enemy character unit, it can move up to 6 inches. All other rules for heroic intervention still apply.
Yeah, so he gets the 6-inch intervention, and he can go into characters if they're not the closest, which is also nice. The Kellermorph, he is also one of the ones that got a little bit of the clam up. He's 80 points. I don't think his stat line changed, but it's move 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 2, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 4, attacks 4, leadership 8, 5 plus save. He has conceal, unquestioning loyalty, crossfire. His liberator auto stub pistols are 18-inch range now. Pistol 2 still, but now they're strength 5, -1, but only 1 damage. However, his abilities on the Liberator auto stub are 2 things. Each time you select a target for this weapon, you can ignore the Lookout Sir rules. And any modified wound roll of a 6 automatically inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. So he did get halved on his damage, but now he can actually inflict mortal wounds. So it's more consistent, I guess, instead of spiky. But
yeah.
And he is strength 5, so that also is a little bit better percent chance of getting wounds on some stuff. He's got Gunslinger, which we all remember, which is each time this model makes a ranged attack. If a hit is scored after this model makes the rest of its ranged attacks, this model can make 1 additional ranged attack against the same target using the same weapon. The additional ranged attack cannot generate any further ranged attacks, so just what he already had. He also has hypersensory abilities, which is a new ability, which is really good. In your shooting phase, after this model shoots, it gets to make a normal move or fall back as if it was your movement phase, even if it arrived as reinforcements. So you can do so many tricky things with this guy. You could deep strike within 6 inches, because guess what? You can deep strike within 6 inches now, shoot, move 6 inches, and now you're literally like less than an inch away from someone. I mean, you can't go within melee range, but it gets you on objectives if you need to get someplace. He's got Heroic Deeds, Heroic Inspiration Aura. He's already had that. It's not really any different, but it is if this model destroys an enemy model, any enemy models in your shooting phase until the end of the phase, it is Heroic Inspiration. In this model is a Heroic Inspiration while a friendly cult core unit is within 6 inches of this model. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. So you get to reroll 1s to shoot.
Yep.
If you kill something. And then he also has got a 5-open vault and save. And again, like I said earlier, he's got Crossfire.
Which is awesome.
Yep.
All right. And I think we have an old unit here that everybody remembers, but he has been deglammed. This is the Sanctus. He is 70 points. Stat line, I do believe, is also the same. It's weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 4, attacks 4, leadership 8, save 5. Its sniper rifle is better. It's 36 inches, heavy 1, strength 5, AP 3, 2 damage. Nothing different about the abilities on it. It's got the familiar clause like it did last time. And it's got its Sanctus Bowdacker, which is strength 1, AP 0, damage 1. Each time the bearer fights, it makes 1 additional attack with this weapon. And each time an attack is made with this weapon against a unit, excluding vehicle or Titanic, an unmodified wound roll of 3+ inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target. And the attack sequence ends. It's weird. It's got Conceal and Questioning Loyalty. It's got Creeping Shadow. This model has a 5-up invulnerable save. Each time an attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. It's got Soul Sight. Each time this model makes an attack, that attack automatically hits its target. The target does not receive the benefits of cover against that attack. It's a Cloaked Assassin. You can't shoot it unless you're within 12 inches of it, which is neat. And it receives the benefit if it receives the benefit of cover, add an additional 1 to any armor saving throw made against that attack. It is a sniper. If it's equipped with a Colt sniper rifle, it gains the Crossfire ability and the Crossfire keyword. Each time this model makes an attack with that weapon, the target is treating as being exposed.
So I was saying that maybe this is the worst character in the game if he takes the melee weapon, because with the melee weapon, he's got 5 attacks. He automatically hits, but on a 3-up, he just does 1 mortal wound. So he does an average of 3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
That's it. That's literally it.
Assassin he is.
Yeah. His assassin ability is, on average, he does 3 mortal wounds to anything, no matter what. Oh, you're 10 guardsmen, 3 mortal wounds. Oh, you're Magus or Magnus, 3 mortal wounds. Actually, yeah. Like, oh, cool. But with the sniper rifle, he auto hits. So he's pretty much able to put Crossfire on anything he wants because he's auto hitting. So that's why I really like him. And he can just go sit on objective because he can't be targeted unless they're within 12 inches. So you just put him on that back corner objective where you don't want to have to worry about something going over next to him. And he's just like an extra Crossfire token giver.
Just standing out in the open.
Yep. The Reductive Saboteur.
We don't need to go over this turd bucket.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. It's the Reductive Saboteur. What was it, 80 points?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already seen, it's already been shown. Weapon skill 3, movement 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3 or 2, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 4, 3 attacks, leadership 8, 5 up, save. It doesn't have Crossfire. It doesn't have Crossfire. And then everything else has already been seen about it. It can only use its stuff once per game. There's literally nothing different about what we've already seen about it. I do not like it. It's not consistent enough for me because most of the monsters and vehicles are -1 damage. And so it's only doing 2 damage into them and it's 4 shots. So it's like its damage is real low. If you look at like Math Hammer, it's just not that great. Yep. The Kellermorph actually on average I think does more damage than the Saboteur.
So we won't count this model, so you can do the Biophagus.
Okay, so he's a little bit new and improved. Movement 6. Oh, actually, how many points is he now? 40?
Yeah, I think he's 40.
Yep, 40. So he's movement 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 4, attacks 3, leadership 8, 5 plus save. He also has an auto pistol. He has injector goad, which is really ironic because injector goad is the old rock cutter special rule.
Yeah.
But it's on a strength 1, 0 AP, D3 damage weapon. But automatically wounds on a 2+ against non-vehicles and Titanic, but it has 0 AP, so it's super funny. He also has grenades, which are called chemical vials. It's a 1-shot grenade, 6 inches. It's also strength 1 -2, 2 damage. And each time an attack is made with this weapon against the unit, it automatically wounds on a 2+. So I guess that's what you're always going to use to shoot with. He has the Alchemist Familiar, which just lets his ability go up to 18 inches once per game instead of 3 inches. He's got Conceal and Unquestioning Loyalty. He doesn't have Crossfire. But let's talk about his genomic enhancement. So this model can perform the following action. Twist Experiment action. At the end of your movement phase, 1 bio model from your army can start to perform this action. When this action is started, select 1 friendly cult core or cult aberrant unit from your army that is within 3 inches of the model performing this action and does not have a genomic enhancement ability. This action is completed at the end of your shooting phase, provided the unit you selected is still within 3 inches of the bio model performing the action. If this action is successfully completed, the unit you selected gains 1 genomic enhancement from the list below for the rest of the battlefield, or for the rest of the battle. If that unit is an aberrant unit, you can select which one you gain. Otherwise, you roll a d3. So if he does an aberrant, first of all, he can't accidentally kill an aberrant. That's good. Second, he gets to pick what the aberrant gets. Third, he can also just choose a core and make it random. And so you get 1 of 3. I think they're all decent. I think out of 1, each model in this unit makes a melee attack and improve the armor pen by 1. So just you just get an extra armor pen on all your melee attacks. 2, every unmodified hit of a 6 in melee scores 1 additional hit. That's pretty good. And then on a 3, you get a 5-up feel no pain. So the aberrants lost their 5-up feel no pain. So almost you have to now take a bio as tax and just start to put the feel no pain back on them each turn.
Yeah.
Which is real annoying. And then obviously his injector goad is a special rule. And if he did do damage to somebody, he gets to roll the dice. And if he rolls higher than the wounds characteristics left, they're destroyed. So it's funny that now he has it.
It is hilarious. All right. Are we on the next one now?
Yep. This is probably my favorite improved unit.
I think it's going to be everybody's favorite improved unit, and everybody's going to be running so many of them. They're going to run out of boxes. So this is the Atlan Jackals. Stat line, move 14, 4 weapon skill.
Points?
Oh, yeah, duh. I knew that. I was just testing you.
12 points.
Yeah, just 12 points. Oh, yeah, I guess we can also declare what the other big change is. You can only bring 8 bikes and 2 wolf quads now. So it is reduced significantly in unit size. Moves 14, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 3, T4, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, and a 4+ save. The leader gets an extra attack and extra leadership, and the wolf quad has 4 wounds instead as well. So nothing different there. The Atlan Incinerator, I think that's the same. Assault D6, strength 5, AP 1 damage. The Atlan small arms, so I guess they have 2-shot pistols. Neat. Grenade launcher, nothing different there. Heavy stubber, same. Mining laser, same. Atlan power weapon. Now this is fantastic. You can give everybody an Atlan power weapon. It is +1 strength, -2 AP, 1 damage. That's pretty neat.
For 3 points.
For 3 points, that's huge. And you'll learn why that's huge in just a second. Now, as obviously you can give them the demolition charge, and what we say on them, they're 5 points each.
Yep.
Beautiful. Now, let's go to skills or abilities.
I just want to point out one quick thing. Sorry. The Atlan small arms. No, you didn't miss it. The Atlan small arms is they used to be able to take a pistol or shotgun. It just got combined into Atlan small arms, which is pistol 2, range 12, strength 4, 1 damage. So you can re-equip it with whatever you want, pistol or shotgun now. It doesn't matter. It's the same weapon.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. Abilities: Conceal, Unquestioning Loyalty, Crossfire, Skilled Outriders. Anytime an attack is made against this unit, subtract 1 from that attacker's hit roll. Jackals. This unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Huge.
Yep.
Raiders. Oh, each time a model in this unit makes a range attack that targets enemy unit within 6 inches of it, that target is treated as being exposed for that attack. And the piece de resistance, they have Scout. Yeah, they can just move up to 9 inches before the first turn, as if it was your movement phase. Oh, man. 3 units of that, just cutting off the entire board or doing weird stuff. Man.
Yeah, so they can
beautiful thing.
They can scout move 9, move 14, auto advance 6. Pretty far, turn 1.
Yeah, I'm touching all the things.
Oh yeah. Also remember, they also have core and crossfire.
Yep.
And then I guess one other thing we should point out is they're 12 points a model. Quads are 24 points a model, and the incinerators are 10 points, and the mine lasers are 15 points.
Gotcha.
And then the grenade launcher, I think, is 5 points.
Oh, the other big thing. With your icon ward, you can raise them back from the dead.
Yes. So that's one thing I really like, because now you're Acklin, what you do is you always let 1 wolf quad die. That's 4 wounds. And then you automatically are going to bring at least 1 back. So you could bring back the quad and like 2 extra bikes. So you could bring back 8 wounds a turn.
It's awesome.
The next is something I used to use a lot of, which I probably won't use as much anymore. And that is the Ridge Runner, 80 points. I got a little bit of a different stat line. It's got movement 14, weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 4, strength 5, toughness 6 now, wounds 8, attacks 3, leadership 8, 4 plus save. The heavy mining laser is literally copy pasted. There's no difference. The heavy mortar is 48 inches, heavy D6, strength 6, -1 damage blast, and it can ignore line of sight. It has 2 heavy stubbers. They're not any different. Copy paste. And then also has the Achilles missile launcher option now, which is 36 inches, heavy 3, strength 6, -3, 3 damage. So it is a little bit more consistent, but it is not the heavy mine laser. And it will matter because the Achilles missile launcher is not industrial and the heavy mine laser is, which we'll get into later. And then the upgrades, it can either have the flare launcher, which now gives you an invuln save of a 6-up, which is different. And if they are not in melee, so if there's nothing in melee with them, if something tries to charge them, they have to add 2 to their charge roll. So it's harder to charge these guys if they have a flare launcher. Or they could take a spotter, which just adds 12 inches to their range. Or they could add a survey auger, which each time a range attack made by the bear targets an enemy unit within 12 inches, it ignores cover.
Put them in some woods, and they're never charged.
Yep. They have conceal, crossfire. They explode just like they did. It's on a 6, 3-inch mortal wound. And then they also still have scout, but they do not have core. So I know a couple people thought they might have core. They do not have core.
All right. Now, let's go ahead and touch on this beautiful baby called the Goliath Rock Grinder. It is 110 points base or 115 with a cache of demolition charges. Its stat line is moves 12, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4 still, strength 6, toughness 7, wounds 10, attacks 6, leadership 8, 3-up save. One thing to note is since all models get cult creeds, your vehicles can have a 2-up save by taking one of the creeds that gives them a cover save, even though vehicles aren't supposed to get cover save.
Or get a 6-up
cover.
Feel no pain.
And the feel no pain. So delicious. Or mini. Well, I guess it'd be really tough to wound one of these on a 2, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
All right. So cache demolition charges. Nothing different there. Clearance incinerators, 2d6, strength 6, AP 1 damage. Heavy mining laser, same. Heavy seismic cannon. Now this is what it's going to be equipped with moving forward. Long range or long wave, 24 inches. It's heavy 6, strength 6, AP 2 damage. Short wave, 24 inches, heavy 3, strength 8, AP 3 damage. Whew, this beautiful thing. The bulldozer blade is strength +2, AP 2 damage. And each time the bear fights, if it made a charge move this turn, it makes 2 additional attacks with this weapon. So it'll have 8 attacks at strength 8, AP 2 damage, hitting on 3s. And its weapon skill does not degrade. So it's going to be chomping crap the whole time. Now it does lose attacks, but at least it's going to hit consistently.
Yep.
All right. It's got concealed crossfire. It's got rugged construction. It's just subtract 1 damage to a minimum of 1, which is beautiful. And it explodes like most vehicles does.
Yep. And it's got a capacity of 6.
Oh yeah, capacity
for call infantry. It's that open top. And it's 115 points, and it's almost like a profile of a dreadnought. Like it's very similar to a dreadnought. Except
and you can put your patriarch in it.
Yeah, or 6 other things. So like it's pretty good. I definitely love this model now.
Me too.
The last unit entry. Now remember the last unit entry, which means if you've noticed, there is 0 Broodbrothers in this codex now. And since this is the last entry, there's no drill anymore. So that is also removed. So we did lose a lot of entries. Goliath Truck is now 90 points. And it is at the top bracket, move 12, weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 4, strength 6, toughness 6, 10 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, 3+ save. So also 1 better save. And then it could just have everything that it used to have, nothing changed. So it can have the cache of demolition charges for 5 extra points. It's the same thing. Heavy stubber is unchanged, and then the twin autocannon is also unchanged. The only thing that's different about this model at all in any aspect is that its rugged construction is now also -1 damage. So it does have that. It doesn't have filament pane. It's still open topped, and it does have crossfire, and it can take 10 models still.
Yep.
So I think the last thing is the industrial weapon profiles.
Correct. And this is literally just a list of all the weapons that are considered industrial for the purpose of certain strats and cult creeds. So we have the Atlan Incinerator, Atlan Power Weapon, Blasting Charges, Cache of Demolition Charges, Clearance Incinerator, Demolition Charge, Drill Dozer Blade, Heavy Mining Laser, Heavy Power Weapon, Heavy Rock Cutter, Heavy Rock Drill, Heavy Rock Saw, Heavy Seismic Cannon, Mining Laser, Power Pick, Power Sledgehammer, and Seismic Cannon.
Yep. So that is a lot of weapons for being in the industrial. So you have lots of options.
Correct. And they're beautiful, juicy, delicious options.
Yeah. And so remember, there's a lot of strats that we've talked and bonuses and stuff that will let this stuff like do a lot better. So after you know all this, go back and like listen to all that stuff again just to make sure if there's anything you missed. But for the most part, I feel like we've hit everything now. I'm just checking. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Any final thoughts?
No, and I think other podcast recordings we do will touch on strategies, techniques, things you might want to take, things you might not want to take, certain combos, all that fun stuff. Today we just wanted to give you a sneak peek into what is the new Genestealer Codex, so you can have an idea as maybe you're driving to LVO and want to listen to something for 3 hours. This is what you want to listen to.
Yeah, or on the car ride or to work, because actually this will be on Saturday morning, so who knows what the hell you're doing at that point. But yeah, I feel like this codex is strong. I don't feel it's overpowered. I mean, it might be. I've had zero practice with it. I would say it's like definitely low at first glance. I would say low A, upper B.
I wouldn't even rate it that high. I think it's mid-tier at best.
Yeah,
I'm still gonna play it.
Oh yeah, but I feel like it has a chance to podium and win a GT or a major.
I don't think it does. I think it's going to confuse the hell out of low to mid-range bracketers. But anybody in that you typically see in the top brackets is gonna have answers for what this codex can do. Or you'll just face against Thick City and bounce off.
I feel like we actually kind of do okay in a Thick City, not as good as we used to, but like we do like to kill monsters and vehicles now better, and they are monsters.
True.
So let's see. I mean, we did go up a lot in points.
At this point, you're going into strategy. We points increases across the board. We're losing a lot. We'll just have to make the best of what we have and play a lot smarter than we used to.
Yeah, but I feel optimistic. I also like the idea that I am not just running acolytes and ridge runners. I think I can run. I think the codex is internally balanced enough where like everything has a role, almost, if that makes sense. Now, is it all good enough? No. But I feel like I can make options and I could play a lot of different things.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited. Just need the actual codex in my hand. I need Battlescribe to update its points so I can finally make lists, because there's no way am I doing pen and paper on this crap anymore. Too old for that shit.
I just made a whole spreadsheet on Excel.
I know you did. You're a huge nerd.
I'm not doing anything at work. I'm teaching? Come on.
Right. It's automated.
All right. Well, that's everything. We will obviously have a lot more content coming out now that not only are we blessed with this nice, awesome new codex, but like just in general, like more tournaments and stuff are happening, and the meta is changing a lot faster, especially with every four times a year they're going to do those huge updates, and then there's going to be 2 different seasons in a year, so there's going to be a lot of crap changing. So hopefully they'll just based on that, there's a lot of content, and then all the new missions or all the new tournaments coming out. So
And I think one thing you other Gene Stealer cult fans can look forward to is Eric Tat is taking the new Gene Stealer cults to LVO. So keep a lookout for him there if you're going to be there, or just watch the streams. Maybe you'll see him on stream running this stuff, and hopefully his pink outfit. And be sure to buy him a drink when you're there and get him super plastered.
I need all the brain power I can. You cannot do that.
I will be there playing orcs, so you can buy me all the alcohol you want. I have one more game I have to knock out with orcs to keep my ranking. I'm currently 4th in the world at orcs, and if I don't play them at LVO, I will shoot down the ranks like a torpedo.
Yeah, so unfortunately you can't join me, but I'm sure we'll try.
I'll join you in spirit.
But that is everything. We will see you guys later, hopefully soon, with just some shorter episodes, obviously, that go over very specific parts of what we think in this codex.
Sounds good. Later, buddy.
See ya.